Chapter 460. As expected, the old man listened to his granddaughter and bought a large number of crabs from Lake Tai. He kept them on the boat and planned to let Xiao Bao and Cuckoo have a taste of them when they arrived. As for how to sell them, he would leave it to his granddaughter. The two boats that the Ning family bought from other places just happened to arrive. When the people on the boats saw the very conspicuous boat parked here, they did not dare to come over and greet them. They did not stop and directly pass by. On the deck, the people of the Ning family were still looking at the strange boat. They only heaved a sigh of relief when they could no longer see it. They were afraid that the other party would come looking for them again. Young master, when we return this time, you'll have made a great contribution. You'll definitely be rewarded. Congratulations, young master. On the deck, a servant in his 20s said with a smile to a man about the same age as him who was standing at the bow of the boat with his hands clasped behind his back. Being praised like this, the young master of the Ning family was very happy. Wei Wei smiled and said, "Yes, I received a letter from my family. I started working on it and finally bought 2 boats. The Ning family can do what the Zhang family can do. They're not the only ones who know how to earn money. Once we get the goods on the boats back, we can sell them and earn enough money for a boat." Young master, you're right. When the time comes, we'll sell the goods elsewhere. Let's see if the Zhang family can still keep the good stuff. Master did a good job and didn't let Lu Zhou's goods pass through there. Young master, do you think Lu Zhou's people can stop those goods? Why do they have to charge so much money? The servant flattered him and said whatever he wanted to make the young master happy. When young Master Ning heard the servant mention the matter of blocking the road, his face darkened. How dare they? My Ning family is not a family that a person with no foundation can afford to offend. The Zhang family was just a small family in the past. They had only started to make some money in recent years. He did not know what a big family was. It was not enough just to have a little bit of money. It also needed people in all aspects. Did the Zhang family have that? If the Zhang family is really that capable, they won't be chased to Luzhou. In the letter, he said that a new pier is being built at his place. We'll stop there when we arrive. I'll show you the power of the Ning family. Send a message to Zhang Zhong, and he'll personally come to pick me up. Yes, I came to pick you up personally. The servants were willing to flatter him, but they didn't think so in their hearts. Otherwise, they wouldn't have begged for mercy when they bumped into the original minister's boat. Anyway, it had nothing to do with them. When the time came, they would just listen to the orders. As the servant thought about it, he continued to praise the young master. The young master also liked to hear it. The two of them spoke well, and the servant even received some extra tips. The sun hung high in the sky, and only a few strands of clouds were blown back and forth by the wind. Lu Shaoqing was in a very good mood. He bought enough prawns to make 400 jars of prawn sauce, and he owed the bill. He stood in the courtyard and watched the servants busily putting the prawns into the jars. It was as though he was looking at a lot of money in front of him. The steward who got a concubine followed beside him. He was overjoyed these 2 days, but he was also exhausted. He couldn't sleep much at night and spent all his energy on the concubine. He was happy, but he was also a little tired. He wondered if he should take a break tonight. If he did this every day, his body would collapse. However, he was reluctant to do so. This little fishy was not as good as the original one. He couldn't control himself when he held her in his arms. It was like a celestial life. When he thought about how it was all because of the prawns this time, the steward whispered, "Master, should we hurry up? The other 3 families are also doing it. They also bought a lot of prawns, but they also owe the bill." The 4 families added up to 1,600 jars, and the Zhang family only bought 1,000 jars. The extra 600 jars are gone. Yes, we have to hurry up. Let's do it like this. Go find the people in the marinating business first and discuss with them. Write down a receipt for the hundreds of jars here and tell them that after a month, they can lower the price slightly. It doesn't matter what the others do. Lu Shaoqing also thought about this matter. He also knew how much the Zhang family bought. The only competition was with the other 3 families. At this time, it was no longer like before. In the past, the 4 of them could make a fortune together and still work together. Now, each of them only cared about their own business, and no one could control each other. After several incidents, they didn't get along well on the surface. Now, they didn't talk to each other when they had nothing to do. Each of them stared at others and hoped that they could live well. If it was the Zhang family scheme, it could be considered a success. Master, don't worry. I will go and discuss with them now. Master, should we compensate them with the previous 200 jars? It's not a lot. We could just say that they didn't make the prawns and sell these 200 jars to them. After deducting the compensation, we can still earn a lot more. The steward thought of a good idea and said with a flattering smile. After pausing for a moment, he said, Master, how much should we reduce the price? 15 strings of cash for a jar of prawn sauce. Should we ask for less than 1 string of cash? Less than 1 string of cash may not work, but 2 strings of cash. If they still don't agree, we can only give them 3 strings of cash at most. 12 strings of cash for a jar of prawn sauce is also a lot of profit. What you said before is also a good idea. We can compensate them for their loss and use this money to make up for it. Lu Shaoqing was not so stubborn on this point. After listening to the steward's words, he gave a sum of money and turned to look at those who were washing jars, loading prawns, and adding salt. He ordered, hurry up and wait for the money this time. 100 copper coins per person. The people who were working happily agreed. As expected, their speed was faster. The steward also left and went to the Zhang family to discuss the price. The main thing was to get a receipt back, in case there was no place to sell the prawns after they were made. Otherwise, they would really lose money. Lu Shaoqing's family thought so, and the other 3 families were no exception. They all knew how to make the prawn sauce quickly, but the taste was not good. There was still half a month left. Whoever could make the prawn sauce faster would make money. There was no reason to give the benefits to others. The 4 families also thought of the matter of the price reduction. The 4 families sent people out to discuss, but the result was not clear. They were not the only ones who were waiting to make money. A small number of people who had given up on work and went to the sea to catch prawn were also anxiously making prawn sauce. They did not know the method to make the prawn sauce quickly. They just hoped that others would make it slower. Even if they could make 2 jars, they would get 30 strings of coins. The people who followed the orders to work were not envious of them. Everyone had their own aspirations. These people's thoughts were simple. After the great official came, he helped them a lot and did a lot of good things. Such an official should be protected. Wasn't it just a job? He could get a salary and eat well. If he quit, when would Lu Zhou become better? As expected, Zhang Zhong did not continue to go to the front every day. He stayed at home and took care of the 2 most precious people in the family with Wang Wan's father. Zhang Zhong was better. He did not care whether the child was a boy or a girl. Now that there was a boy in the family, there would be someone to inherit the family property in the future. Wang Wan's father, on the other hand, was looking forward to the child being a boy. Then, he would not be worried. When the time came, he could ask his sister to help. After all, he could not lose the family property. He believed that his son-in-law, Xiao Bao, would agree. The 2 of them were so good at making money. Why would they care about giving some to this side? In fact, the 2 of them did not need to take care of anything at all. There were professionals at home who took care of what they ate, how they walked around every day, what they could and could not touch, their sleeping posture at night, and whether it was cold or warm. These things were taken care of by the professionals trained by Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. They served the 2 of them well. Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao had just found out about this matter. Someone came over on a horse and told them that the process would take a long time. The 2 of them did not want to go back immediately. They did not need to take care of the 2 of them at home now. On this day, the group finally arrived at the foot of the Shirwan Mountains. There was a river flowing down and converging elsewhere. From here, they could see the chipmunks running back and forth. They were furry, and their tails were not as big as the usual squirrels. They were jumping up and down. When they saw people coming, they would stop and look curiously from time to time. Then they would turn around and hide in the grass. Rest here for a day. You can sleep as much as you want. You can arrange who is on duty. When they arrived at the place, Wang Wan was also very tired. She and Zhang Xiaobao always followed the group when they had almost recovered. More than 100 people sat on the ground at the same time. Even the 56 members of the protection team were no exception. After walking for 3 days, their feet had blisters. There was no road at the foot of the mountain. When they walked in a place with a lot of sand and stones, they did not want to get blisters. They had to practice more. Xiaobao, do you think it's better to have a boy or a girl? My family should have a boy. This way, my family will not be anxious. Otherwise, we will always be worried if there is no one to inherit the family business. Wang Wan sat next to Zhang Xiaobao and talked about children. Although it was still early, they had to wait until next summer. Zhang Xiaobao did not care about this. Actually, anything is fine. When the time comes, we can take them to play. It's better for your family to have a boy. My family's daughter is fine too. If it's really like this, I will dress her up as a little princess. Well, then my family will be a man, and your family will be a woman. When the time comes, just like what the two families have discussed, your sister will marry my brother. Life isn't good. Summer is torture, so it's better to live in winter. Wang Wan also followed the arrangement. My younger sister won't marry your younger brother. What if your younger brother is that stupid? Wouldn't my younger sister be in trouble? When the time came, they would have to choose. They would find a large group of people and test them from various aspects. Whoever was capable would be accepted. Before they knew what was going on, they would give birth to whoever they wanted. We don't have that kind of technology here. Who cares about your sister? Maybe your sister is the stupid one. Wang Wan retorted with dissatisfaction. Chapter 61, Li Sun also heard the news. He was quite happy. The more people Zhang Xiaobao and Wang families had, the better. When the time came, they would be able to develop. Maybe the master would be happy and call him over to personally teach him something. Hearing Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan talking, he also came over and said, "If you ask me, you should have a few more children at one time. Give birth to 8 or 10 children. You can have both boys and girls. When you go out, you can bring a group of people with you. It will be lively. It's not like they are pigs. In the future, it will be really lively. Let's see who is naughty, eat, sleep, and recover enough energy to go up the mountain. We can hunt some wild beasts and pick some fruits." Wang Wan did not want the two families to have too many children. Only one was enough. Otherwise, it would be dangerous. At this time, who could perform an abdominal section? After they finished talking, they picked up the food and began to eat. After they finished eating, they began to sleep. They would sleep for the whole day and wait for tomorrow to continue to go up the mountain. The 100,000 Mountains was a good place. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan both knew that not only were the mountains and rivers here good, but there were also all sorts of resources. Many of them had not been discovered yet, so they could go and search for them. Otherwise, it would be a waste. This was especially true for some plant resources, and there were even many good medicinal ingredients. The guards on both sides continued to apply medicine to their wounds. After the blisters were rubbed out, the layer of skin was gone because they continued to travel. Some of them even had blisters on their red flesh, turning into bloody blisters. Fortunately, they all persevered. Although it was impossible to completely heal their wounds after a day of rest, it could dry their feet, which was good for recovery. The food they ate was the food in the guards' backpacks. Li Sun did not let them throw it away. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan planned to stay in the mountain for half a month. They would finish the food in a few days and then think of other ways. There were some sets of bowls in the backpacks. They took them out, poured some water, and began to stew. A group of people sat around the fire and talked about the hardships of the 3 days. They talked about what the future days would be like. Of course, they also talked about the new life that would appear in Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's families. When a day passed, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had enough rest. They called everyone to continue on their journey. This was the time for the real hardships. The wounds on their feet and the mountain road would be a greater test for them. Li Sun was also prepared for the hardships. He was surrounded by everyone and walked up the mountain. As for the horses, it was easy to handle. As long as they were released, they would go back by themselves. There was no need for others to worry. They deliberately brought 2 old horses. With the 2 of them, the other horses would follow and find the way. Half a month passed by in a hurry. It was autumn. If it was in the capital, it would be a bit cold at this time. However, it was still so hot here. It made people not feel that autumn had come at all. Only the situation of the grain, cotton, and other things let people know that it was autumn. The river channel had been dug, but the big dike by the sea had not been completed. At this speed, it would take at least a few months to make a prototype. If they wanted to completely repair it, they would have to wait until next year to continue to strengthen it. It had to be repaired every year. Zhang Zhong did not know if a successor would learn to do so. In short, he would build this place well. How others did it had little to do with him. Moreover, Zhang Xiaobao also mentioned this point in his plan. In fact, it was very simple. Even if the officials did not organize the repairs, the people could do it themselves. Even if they left here, the Chamber of Commerce would always be here. There was also the docks and other places. They would need to send people here to take care of them. If the officials did not do it, then they would take some money from the Chamber of Commerce every year and hire the local people to do the repairs. In this way, they would not have to worry about being unprepared when they encounter danger. As for merchants, in Zhang Xiaobao's view, they had to repay society. After all, the Chamber of Commerce needed a reputation, and the people were the foundation of making money. Without the foundation, after a disaster, some merchants would feel that it had nothing to do with them. In fact, it had a lot to do with them. If there was another disaster and they did not take precautions, then who would provide the local specialties? After half a month had passed, some people were anxious, while others were happy. The happy ones are naturally Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. In this half a month, the two of them led a group of people to live in the mountains. The food brought by the Wang Mansion's guards ran out after a few days. The main reason was that there were many people helping to eat. Without food, everyone could only find their own way here. There were wild fruits, wild vegetables, and all kinds of animals in the mountains, all of which could be used as food. Li Sun finally understood what survival in the wild was. It was not only looking for food, but there were also some tasks that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan said had to be completed. They had to compete with each other, such as hiding, searching, and so on. In this half a month, Li Sun also suffered a lot. Sometimes, he really wanted to give up and not continue to stay here. It was really unbearable, several times more unbearable than the things he did in the beginning. Especially at night, there were many wild beasts. Some came out to look for food, such as owls and wolves. All kinds of sounds were mixed together, making people feel scared. Especially there were many snakes here, who knew when they would crawl over and entangle you while you were asleep, or even bite you directly with venom. More than 100 people had to force themselves to be alert. During the day, they prepared food and were on guard. At night, they had to arrange for people to be on guard. Everyone on guard was vigilant. If it was only like this, then Li Sun would not say anything. But in the woods, it was stuffy and hot, especially when it rained twice. The feeling of being wet all over was really unbearable. If it were not for Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan acting as if nothing had happened every day, Li Sun would have left. But with Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's example, Li Sun felt that if he left, it would be very shameful. He was even worse than two children. After persevering for half a month, there were tasks to be completed every day. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan felt that it was about time, so they led everyone to a large stone platform with a waterfall. They announced that they could rest for a day, then go home and come back in a few days. In half a month's time, Li Sun had matured quite a bit. More than 100 people had undergone some changes. Even the original 56 people had also gained quite a bit. They had also undergone this kind of training in the forest in the past, but that time was a little different from now. Due to the environmental issues, that time was in the mountains of Huaiyuan County. It was not as stuffy as here, and every one of them was drenched in sweat every day. There was no place to wash. Even if they went to a water source early, they did not dare to wash. They were afraid that they would not have a change of clothes, be bitten by mosquitoes at night, and be cut by branches. After wearing it for so many days, it became soft with sweat. When it dried, it became hard. It was very uncomfortable, but they still persevered. During this period, the group met some mountain people. The mountain people were still a little wary of the people outside, but they did not attack as casually as before. They even exchanged some things. Besides the mountain people, what Li Sun found most interesting was the wooden houses that some hunters built here. They were usually placed on trees, and there was only one door. The door was closed, and the outside was tied with a rope. When they found the first house, Li Sun was very happy because there were dried bacon, some rice, things to light a fire, and even some herbs inside. Seeing these things, Li Sun's first thought was to take all of them and take advantage of them. However, he was stopped by Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. They ate the dried bacon, but did not touch the rice. When they caught some prey, they made some dried food and put it in the house. They even put some more food. Li Sun did not understand why they put things in the house. Wang Wan had seen this before, so she was very familiar with it. Many hunters would build a house in the forest when they had enough money and put things in it. There were usually such houses on all the connected mountains. One was for rest, and the other was for food when they were injured or did not catch any prey. As long as they were real hunters, they would do this. They would not only provide food for themselves, but also for other hunters. If everyone did this, no matter which mountain they went to, they would not have to worry about not having a place to rest, let alone being unlucky and starving to death in the mountains. There was a rule in this. When they needed food, they could go to such a place to find food and rest. However, after they finished eating, they had to give back the same amount of food they used. They could only give more, not less. Otherwise, what would the others do? After hearing Wang Wan's explanation, Li Sun finally understood. In the end, she bought more things and placed them in the room. At the same time, she also left behind some salt, blankets, and bowls from the guards' bags. They were about to leave. Li Sun, who was sitting on a rock and eating, was a little reluctant to leave. He looked at the waterfall in front of him and said, "The next time I come, I have decided to bring everyone and even more tools. Every once in a while, I will build a house and put things in it. When more hunters arrive, they will be able to get help. These hunters are really amazing. None of them did not return the food they ate. After going a few places, the water in the buckets is full, the firewood is chopped, and the meat is not missing at all. It's really admirable. This is because they all know that if they don't replenish themselves, they won't be able to get help when they're in danger. This is the most simple way of thinking. It's for others, and even more so for themselves. Unfortunately, there are many people who don't know this and only do things that harm others without benefiting themselves. Even though Wang Wan already knew this rule, she still admired it. Chapter 62. Zhang Xiaobao also knew that when he was with Wang Wan, some people in the deep mountains would also abide by such rules. However, some people who specialize in exploring would not think so. They would eat other people's things and throw a lot of garbage in other people's houses. This place was still the best. After walking through so many houses, there wasn't a single one that didn't have anything inside. This was the quality that should be there. Xiao Bao, when will you come again? Tell me in advance so that I can prepare more things. I saw that the axes used to chop firewood in the middle of the two houses are no longer working. Although they have been sharpened too many times, so they have become much smaller. Even the top has cracked. I will bring more axes the next time I come." This was the first time Li Sun had seen such a fun thing. He felt that when he came across these houses, it was very safe and comfortable to sleep there. It was as if he had a home to rely on. "It won't be long before we come again. Don't worry, there's a lot of good stuff here. Once we've explored all the paths, it'll be more convenient for us to come again. Just like what you said, we'll build more houses. Not only is it to provide a place for the hunters to rest, but it can also be used by the villagers in case they're in a hurry." Zhang Xiaobao thought about more things. Although there were wild animals in this place, if it was properly developed, it might attract people to come here for tourism. Of course, at this time, the various famous mountains were not damaged. There are also good places elsewhere, but this was the Shirwan Mountains. The scenery was beautiful, and the mountains and rivers were very good. If they used the houses to attract people, there should be people who would be willing to come here, especially those who were rich and had nothing to do. Even if they were from the capital, they could come here by boat and wait for the boat to be improved. It would only take 5 months to go back and forth and half a year to come back. Not only here, but also the seaside in front. They could eat the local specialties here and feel the ethnic customs here. As long as it was advertised and really attracted people, it would definitely be developed. Wang Wan also knew about Zhang Xiaobao's plan. She didn't think highly of it, and felt that who would be so free as to spend half a year traveling? Even if they could see a lot of other scenery along the way, it wouldn't be worth it. Moreover, the money spent wouldn't be small either. If the ship didn't carry people, it could carry goods, and the money it could earn should be more when carrying people. Zhang Xiaobao said that he wanted to see how the tourism in the capital was doing. If it could set off a trend, then it would be enough, especially for some people who needed to go outside to experience it. For example, the children of a certain family or the students who wanted to go outside to study. In the past, these people also brought money along with them as they traveled. Then, they could specially make 2 boats to provide them with such services. The price was not too high. If one of them became successful in the future, they would definitely remember this kind of boat. Sometimes, money was not so important. The 2 of them discussed this matter once. In the end, the result of the discussion was that Zhang Xiaobao would give it a try. If it was successful, then it was fine. If it was not, then it would be considered a game. Li Sun did not know that Zhang Xiaobao and one had such plans. He was preparing to turn a dangerous mountain into a safe home. This was his dream, just like the original Zhang Xiaobao and Zhuangzi. Hearing that Zhang Xiaobao would be back soon, he happily threw a stone into the water. After thinking for a while, he said, "Also, I see that there are many rivers here as well as waterfalls and pools. Should we find a few people who know how to build boats and put boats on both sides of the river? This way, we don't have to go around to find a place with shallow water. What if we accidentally go the wrong way and enter a deep place?" Zhang Xiaobao could understand Li Sun's way of thinking. It was a kind of builder's way of thinking. Many people had the same way of thinking. They wanted to find a stable place for themselves. The size of the place depended on one's ability. People like Li Sun who were more capable would place their thoughts on more places. This showed that Li Sun was very kind-hearted. He wanted others to live well, and he wanted to see others live well. This Li Sun seemed to be different from the one in history. That was good. This way, they could be together. Anyway, it would not cost much. Zhang Xiaobao did not care about Li Sun's money. Seeing that Li Sun had said so, he agreed. Then it's settled. In addition to these, we can also find people to pull ropes from some mountain streams. A few ropes can save a lot of walking, and we can walk directly from the mountain. Then it's settled. It's the last day. Let's go inside and see if we can find better things. Li Sun was happy to see that there was support. He looked at the water of the waterfall and looked at the directions that they had not yet gone. He suggested that they should go forward on the last day. In fact, they had already harvested a lot of things this time. For example, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang had people get a lot of ginseng. There was also peppermint and so on. These herbs were good things. They were going to take them back and make some medicine according to some medical books. There were also some that were not written in the books. The 2 of them also discussed making other things, and when the time comes, they could sell them for money. In addition to the medicinal herbs, there were also the furs of some wild beasts. With so many people and weapons, they had hunted a lot of animals in half a month. These things are going to be transported back to the capital. By that time, it would be almost winter, and the price of furs would not be small. Li Sun still wanted to get some more things. He wanted to get something like a tiger or a bear. He could eat it in the past, but he was not sure how it was here. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang heard Li Sun talking about tigers and bears along the way, so they knew what he was planning. They wanted to tell him that the tigers here were small, and even if there were bears, it was not the season to eat them. They were not sure if they should hibernate like in cold places before eating. After all, they did not know much about this place. Since Li Sun had such an idea, then they would follow him. It just so happened that the 2 of them also wanted to see more. They had not learned mining before, so they did not know what kind of minerals there were. There were also a lot of plants that they had not seen before. The 2 of them also asked people to bring them and wait to go back and ask. In fact, it would take 4 days to go back. After all, when they came, they walked back and forth. The distance forward was not short, although there were some times when they moved sideways. If they walked forward a little more, then they would have to walk 1 more day to come back. Zhang Xiaobao was very happy. He actually wanted to stay here for a month, but he felt that these people's bodies could not bear it. After all, it was the first time they had really received this kind of training, especially the guards of the Wang Mansion. He was worried that if they really stayed here for a month, someone would get sick. Even now, Some of these people were dispirited because of the lack of some trace elements. They had eaten fruits and wild vegetables. Perhaps it was because they had eaten less rice. Zhang Xiaobao could only think of it this way. This time, he would first shorten the time. After he got used to it, he could come back for a longer time. Every extra day counted. Once the three of them decided, the others would not say anything against it. Anyway, they were already like this, so what could be worse than this? The group finished eating. There was no need to arrange any tasks for today. After a little rest, they began to move forward. They planned to walk in during the day and see if they could come back when it was dark. If they encountered a wild beast, then they could only rest on the spot. The group did not walk fast. There were people who were responsible for looking for snakes in the surrounding grass. There were also people in front who were responsible for opening the way. Because there were not many people, when they walked, they could not find any traces of the road. Many times, they would come across some vines. During the day, nothing happened. Those who needed to gather herbs did so. Those who needed to hunt animals did so. For the sake of training, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang did not allow the guards of the Wang mansion to use crossbows. Only the knives in their hands could be used. Otherwise, they would learn from others to set traps. Zhang Xiaobao knew a little, and Wang also knew a little. The traps made by the two of them were quite easy to use, especially the pheasants, which were very easy to catch. As long as they made a vertical trap next to a tree and sprinkled some rice on the side, if the pheasant was careless, it would drill its head into the trap to eat. After it finished eating, it would not come out, so it would move forward with all its strength. When the time came, they would be able to catch it. When it was nighttime, everyone was extremely careful as they walked back. They lit torches to illuminate the area, and, at the same time, they chased away some animals. As they walked, suddenly, a whimpering sound came from the side in front of them. Listening to the sound, it seemed to be very fierce. As they walked forward, the sound became louder and quieter. "Let's go and have a look." Wang listened for a while and said to everyone. At this time, the guards of the Wang mansion would not continue to use knives. At night, they were on guard with crossbows. As they approached, the torches finally shone on something. In the grass in front of them, there was a dog lying on its stomach. At this time, the most reminded people of a wolf, but it did not look like one. Wang moved forward, and the torches also moved forward. After taking a closer look, Wang was stunned for a moment. Immediately, she said with distress, "It's a dog. It's having a difficult birth. It's working hard there. It was already a puppy. Oh, it has no strength. Why did a dog come to the mountain? A wild dog? A hunter's hunting dog?" Zhang Xiaobao also moved forward and looked carefully. It was indeed not a wolf, but a gray dog. It was working hard to give birth to the child in its belly. Maybe the second puppy was a little bigger and had a difficult birth. The sound just now was a warning. Unfortunately, it obviously had no strength. As a result, both the puppy and the big dog in the belly would die. Chapter 461. At this time, the guards of the Wang mansion would not continue to use knives. At night, they would be on guard with crossbows. As the crowd approached, the torch finally shone on something. In the grass in front of them, there was a dog lying on its stomach. At this time, the most reminded people of a wolf, but it did not look like one. Wang moved forward, and the torch also moved forward. After taking a closer look, Wang was stunned for a moment and immediately said with distress, "It's a dog. It's having a difficult birth. It's working hard there. There's already a puppy. Oh, it has no strength. Why did the dog come to the mountain? A wild dog? A hunter's hunting dog?" Zhang Xiaobao also moved forward and looked carefully. It was indeed not a wolf, but a gray dog. It was working hard to give birth to the child in its stomach. Maybe the second puppy was a little bigger and had a difficult birth. The bark just now was a warning. Unfortunately, it obviously had no strength. The result was that both the puppy and the big dog in the belly would die. Wang turned around and said to the others, "Hurry up and cook something. Thin out a little. You have to be quick, especially the meat. Give it to the big dog. It has no energy left. Dog, hang in there. You'll be fine soon." Wang did not know what was going on with the dog, but it was clear that it had no strength. This was troublesome. She could not help to pull it, so she could only be anxious. The only way was to see if the dog could eat. If it ate, it could recover its strength. Immediately, someone did as Wang Wan said and began to cook porridge. Zhang Xiaobao first put some honey in a wild bee's nest, put it on the knife, and stretched it out to see if the dog would eat it. The big dog whined, looked at Zhang Xiaobao, and then looked at the honey on the knife in front of it. Before it could eat, it was pulled back by Wang Wan. Don't give the dog honey. Wait for the porridge, Wang Wan said to Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao nodded and didn't say anything else. However, he was still nervous about the dog. Even though it was just a dog, the birth of a new life always made people feel sacred and excited. Not only him, but the others were also anxious. Li Sun turned around anxiously and said to the dog, "Give birth to the little guy, and I will give you good food in the future. Do you hear me? You must insist on giving birth to the little guy, and then I will take care of your little dog." The dog no longer had the energy to bark at the crowd. It was still struggling, and there was a trace of sadness in its eyes. The porridge was finally ready. In fact, the meat was cooked, so they let people break it up and put it in water. There was no need to boil the water. As long as it was hot, it would be fine. A guard who used to have a dog at home was brave. He brought the porridge to the dog, tested the temperature with his hand, and put it in front of the dog's mouth. He deliberately spilled some porridge and waited for the guard to step back. Everyone looked at the dog with concern. The dog's eyes didn't have much life. It looked weakly at the people in front of it, and then at the porridge. After smelling it twice, it finally stuck out its tongue and licked it. Everyone was afraid that the dog wouldn't eat. At this time, seeing it eat, there was more hope in their hearts. They continued to watch. The dog ate half a bowl and then lay there motionless. After a while, its stomach began to move. The puppy began to come out little by little. Wang Wan nervously grabbed Zhang Xiaobao's hand and softly shouted, come on, it's coming out soon. Put in more effort. Come on, you could be a mother." Under the concern of the family, the dog on the ground used all its strength and finally gave birth to the puppy little by little. When the second dog came out, everyone continued to wait. But after waiting for a while, the third dog didn't come out. The big dog began to use its tongue to lick the puppy whose eyes were closed. The puppy also wriggled its body and crawled under its mother's belly. The two puppies and one dog found a nipple and closed their eyes to suck. The big dog also began to eat the rest of the porridge. When it looked at the people around it, its eyes were a little less guarded. In fact, when a dog gave birth, it would be guarded even if its relatives were around. It was unknown why this was. Perhaps it was because of that bowl of porridge. After the rest of the porridge was eaten, another bowl of porridge was sent over. This time, the big dog didn't stand on ceremony. After a while, it ate this bowl of porridge into its stomach. It closed its eyes and panted there, while the puppy continued to eat. A smile appeared on everyone's face. Witnessing the birth of a new life was a joyous thing, especially when it was born with their help. Oh, now you see this dog was injured. Look at its leg, it's bleeding a lot. I don't know if it was bitten or melon. Why don't we take it back and raise it? Wang Wan had always wanted to raise a dog so that it could be a police dog or something. Naturally, the big dog couldn't, but the small dog could. If the family of 3 was brought back, the food problem of the puppy would be solved. Otherwise, they would have to feed them other things. How do we bring it back? This dog will bite. Do we knock it out first? It's easy to beat it to death. How can we tie it up? Zhang Xiaobao's 2 puppies were very fun to play with, but there was no other way. They couldn't just tell the dogs to follow them, right? Wang Wan also began to worry. After thinking for a while, she suddenly said, "Make a stretcher and carry it. First, make the stretcher, then use a stick to put on the stretcher." It was injured and difficult to give birth, so it shouldn't have much strength. It won't hurt others. The other people also wanted to take this family back. Otherwise, with the big dog's injury, it was very likely that the 3 of them would die on the mountain. Hearing the young lady's words, they began to make the stretcher. After a while, the stretcher was done. Wang Wan looked at it and said, "Make a doghouse and put the blanket in it. See if it wants to go in." The people next to them began to make the doghouse again. The dog just lay there and looked at the people, not moving. When the 2 puppies were almost done eating, the big dog took them in front of it and looked at them one by one. After a while, the doghouse was also done. It was placed on a stretcher with 2 blankets inside. They carried it in front of the big dog to see if it wanted to go in. Usually, this was impossible, but they didn't know whether the big dog felt the kindness of these people or this dog was different from other dogs. It carried the 2 children into the doghouse, and the big dog went in by itself. It went in and put the 2 puppies at the door of the doghouse, protecting them with its paws. The people who had just brought the porridge poured the rest of the porridge into a bowl and put it on the stretcher in front of the doghouse. The 2 people lifted the whole doghouse and continued to walk. The big dog might have eaten almost all of the porridge just now. At this time, it didn't continue to eat. Instead, it stuck its head out to look around and then shrank back to protect the children. Xiao Bao, why do I feel that it is not like a dog but a human? It is so sensible. This is good. It is very warm inside, and the family of 3 doesn't have to worry about the problem of food. The wound is not bleeding anymore. Let's take a look at it in the morning and help to wrap it. Wang Wan walked beside the stretcher. After having a dog, she was very happy and said to Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao also had the same feeling. He didn't know what the puppy would be like with such a dog. If it was so smart, then it could be used as a life-saving dog. This animal is psychic. It is very comfortable to raise such a dog. When we go back, we can build a better doghouse. I don't know what you're going to feed it. Do you really want to eat raw meat every meal? Zhang Xiaobao said to Wang Wan while looking at the dog on the stretcher that would stick its head out from time to time. Of course, it can't only eat meat. It also needs to eat food, but it can't eat salt. I'm going to raise it as a military dog. The big dog is so smart, and the small dog won't be bad. 2 not bad. Wang Wan looked very excited. At this time, Li Sun said from the side, 2 puppies. Can you give me one too? When the time comes, we'll see who's the best. No, if you want to raise a dog, you have to find one yourself. There are only 2 in total. Xiao Bao and I will have 1 each. Wang Wan refused directly. Then I will raise one myself. When I go back and find a good dog, it will bully your dog. Seeing that Wang Wan didn't want to give it to him, Li Sun decided to go back and ask for a few dogs himself. He had to compete. The group of people walked in such a cheerful atmosphere until midnight. Then they found a good place to rest. Several bonfires were lit. Those who were supposed to sleep slept, and those who were supposed to keep watch did the night. The big dog was also arranged to be next to them for protection. The 2 puppies ate and slept very peacefully. In the middle of the night, the big dog came out and walked around. The night watchers didn't care about it. As long as the puppies were there, they didn't believe that the big dog would abandon the puppies. The big dog's leg was indeed injured. It was limping as it walked. After walking around in a circle, it felt fine, so it peed on a tree root and returned to the stretcher. After eating more than half a bowl of porridge, it went back to its nest and fell asleep. The people on the mountain were happy, but many people at the foot of the mountain were dumbfounded. Half a month had passed, and the Zhang family had collected enough prawn paste, exactly 1,000 jars. But the problem was that the prawn paste was not collected from the local people, nor from the homes of Lu Shaoqing and the other 3 people. Instead, it was from an outsider, the one who sold the prawn paste to the 4 families. He brought the prawn paste. Once the Zhang family collected enough prawn sauce, they stopped. No matter what the 4 families said, even if the price was lowered, those people who didn't work but went to catch prawns were dumbfounded. What about the prawn sauce in their hands? They were still counting on the prawn sauce to make a fortune. These commoners were actually better off. At least they didn't sell their things. They didn't suffer too much loss and could still continue to work at the construction site. But Lu Shaoqing and the other 3 people were different. They owed money to buy the prawns. Suddenly, the prawns were worthless. Who could they ask for the money? Then what about the money on the note? This was troublesome. The money owed to Zhang Zhong was paid back bit by bit without any interest. But the prawns had interest. If Zhang Zhong continued to deduct their money every month, the remaining money wouldn't be enough to pay back the interest. Everyone had many jars of prawn sauce in their hands. The prawn sauce was no longer valuable. Lu Shaoqing gave away the 200 jars of prawn sauce that the Zhang family originally had and made some money from it. But his capital was too big. At this time, the Zhang family started a new round of purchases. They paid 40 copper coins for a jar of prawn sauce. Those who wanted to sell it could go over and sell it. This price was far lower than the previous one. It couldn't be compared at all. Lu Shaoqing found the person in charge and pointed to the jars of prawn sauce. He said to the person in charge, "Go and sell these at the price of 12 copper coins per jar." "This was your idea, right? Then I'll leave it to you." "Master, where can this little one sell it? Even if you sell this little one, you won't be able to get the money." "Master, let's think of another way. We can discuss with the Zhang family and ask them to give us more money." When the person in charge came, he knew that something was wrong. Now that he heard the master ask him to sell the prawn sauce at that price, he knew that the master had put the blame on him. Chapter 64, Prawn Discuss What? What do you want to discuss? Didn't you agree when I asked you to discuss it last time? It's a pity that they didn't have a written agreement. When you went, I told you again and again that there was a written agreement. Without a written agreement, why did you come back and say that it was settled? Lu Shaoqing didn't want to admit that he didn't handle this matter well. Instead, he put the blame on the person in charge. This way, he would feel better in his heart. At the same time, it would also reduce the complaints of his family. Even if many people knew that without the master's approval, the person in charge wouldn't have done this. The person in charge really didn't know what to say now. What could he do? Not only him, but also the other 3 families. Which family didn't send someone to tell them? Which family wrote a written agreement? When he came back, the master said that the Zhang family felt that the amount of prawn sauce was too much. Now that they admitted it verbally, it was actually just to see who could make the prawn sauce first. If it was him, he would also do the same. In the end, not a single jar of prawn sauce was sold. This responsibility was placed on him. He understood, but he didn't dare to say it out loud. He could only brace himself and bear with it. Otherwise, he would easily be beaten to death. The biggest problem now was what to do with these jars of prawn sauce. The person in charge lowered his head and pondered for a while. He said, "Master, this little one will go and discuss with the Zhang family. If they are willing to pay more, then we will sell it to them. If they are not willing, this little one is willing to personally take these jars of prawn sauce and sell them elsewhere. I will sell them 1 jin at a time. No matter what, this little one will be able to recoup some of the cost." "Master, what do you think? Recoup some cost? Do you know how much the cost is?" Tell me, how much is the cost? Can you even tell? It's not even enough to pay back the interest. When I owed Zhang Zhong money, I felt very sad. Now I know that I can't afford to owe him money with interest. What do you think we should do?" The more Lu Shaoqing thought about it, the more aggrieved he felt. Ever since Zhang Zhong came, he had not had a good day. When he was given water, he felt good and was happy. Now he owed money on both sides. On one side, it was the monthly deduction from the production of the land, and on the other side, it was the monthly loan sharks. Zhang Zhong's side was easy to deal with, but if the people here came to force him to pay back the debt, how could he refuse? If he gave it to them, how could he give it to them? What could he give to them? Even if he sold the house, it wouldn't be worth much. It seemed that he could only see if his family had anything valuable and pawn it. He would pay back a portion of the debt first. If that didn't work, he would sell the servants in the house. Otherwise, if there was no way to survive, he could just find a rope and hang himself. What was the point of living like this? The steward also knew that his idea was useless, but he couldn't just leave it like this. What would come, and there was no use being afraid. After thinking for a while, he really couldn't think of anything. He said to Lu Shaoqing, "Master, this is all my fault. I didn't do a good job. I will go to the Zhang family first to ask, and I will think of a solution when I come back." Lu Shaoqing didn't have much energy to pursue the matter with the steward. Seeing that the steward took the initiative to admit it, he waved his hand and asked the steward to leave. He stood in front of the jars and stared blankly. The steward didn't go directly to the Zhang family. Instead, he returned to his own house. Because the house wasn't worth much, he had a 3-room house. These few days, he had been at Little Fishy's place every day, and his body was getting worse and worse. Yesterday, because of this matter, he hadn't eaten all day and night. It was already noon today, and he didn't feel hungry anymore. However, he knew that he had to eat something. Little Fishy was usually the maidservant who served the madam. After she was released to do other things, She hadn't cooked for him and had always eaten in the courtyard. Today, he would let her cook for him. As the steward thought about it, his footsteps quickened. When he returned to the courtyard, he saw little Fishy packing up. The steward thought that she was tidying up the room, but when he walked closer, he realized that little Fishy was packing up some of the things he had brought. "My Fishy, where are you going? Are you going out? Is there someone you know here?" The steward hugged little Fishy from behind and asked. He deliberately put his mouth next to little Fishy's ear. Usually, as long as he did this, little Fishy would lean on him weakly and let him take advantage of her. However, today, she didn't react at all. After packing up the bag, she said, "Just now, the head steward came over and said that you did something wrong. I have to go back and continue with my work. You can stay here by yourself." "What? Leave? You're leaving?" Did the head steward say that? "Why didn't Master tell me? I don't believe it. I'll go and ask now." The steward was very reluctant to let little Fishy leave. He turned around and was about to question her, but after taking a few steps, he stopped, looked at little Fishy, and said, "Go. There's no need to ask. Master didn't tell me, but this matter can't be fake. The head steward has been thinking about you. Go. You won't have anything to do with me." Little Fishy didn't say anything. She directly picked up the bag, turned around, and left. She didn't even look back. The steward stared blankly in the direction little Fishy left. He turned around and looked at the house that he hadn't entered for many days. He hesitated and didn't know what to do. At this moment, the door opened. The steward's chubby wife walked out and ran to the kitchen. After a while, she came back with a bowl of noodles. She said to the steward, "Why did you bring such a woman back? You were hoping to give birth to a child. Now, people will laugh at you. You didn't seem to eat yesterday. Have you eaten today? Quickly eat these noodles. There's a lot of shrimp sauce in the yard. I took advantage of the fact that they made too much and couldn't manage it, and used this sauce to fry some onions for you. Try it. Isn't it just that the Zhang family doesn't accept shrimp sauce? What are you afraid of? Come eat quickly. What does a woman like you know? How can you not be afraid? Do people outside know how much money they owe? Master pushed this matter to me and made noodles with zhajiangmian. Do you only know how to make noodles with zhajiangmian?" The steward had a stomach full of anger. When he saw his wife, he vented all his anger on her. The chubby woman was stunned for a moment and immediately said, "Husband is right. I don't know anything. It's all my husband who supports this family. But my husband can't fall, otherwise this family will be gone. Come, eat the noodles. Zhajiangmian is quick to make. Do you want to eat dumplings? I'll make them for you tonight." In fact, this matter is very obvious. The Zhang family felt that Master and the other 3 people might pay back the money. Master and the other 3 people have committed many crimes. What can they do without evidence? Naturally, they began to torture Master from this side. Isn't this a trap for Master to fall into? Master was also tempted. Otherwise, how could he do this? It's just the 200 jars of shrimp sauce. In fact, it's not that big of a deal. The main thing is that the price of 15 strings of coins per jar is really effective. So, the 200 jars before were used by the Zhang family because they didn't think of a better plan at the beginning. When the steward heard what his wife said, he also reacted. He opened his mouth and asked his wife to feed him. That's right. The first one was the most useful. It was to divide the 4 clans. Without that strategy, the 4 clans would have banded together. That would have made things difficult for us. However, ever since the incident with the 200 jars, look at what happened to the 4 clans later on. In order to go one step further, the Zhang family even sent Master Chao's family to live a good life there. From then on, they began to break apart. This was the Zhang family's plan. After the 15 strings of coins purchase, the 4 families immediately went their own way without any discussion. In order to compete and earn money, the result became what it is now. The prawn seller was actually arranged by the Zhang family. Originally, there was no profit when owing money, right? There will be a day when it's all paid back. Now it's monthly interest. If there's no help, it won't be able to be paid back in a lifetime. People like us won't have a good day. As long as we have a little bit of money, we have to give it to others. As long as one person is idle, he has to work to earn money. This is the ability of the Zhang family. If we offend them, we don't know what to do in the future. The fat woman explained while feeding her husband. In a short while, the steward finished the bowl of noodles and asked his wife to wipe the corners of his mouth. He smacked his lips and said, "These noodles are good. But even if they know, what can they do? They have been deceived. The Zhang family won't admit it. So what if they admit it? By the way, I have an idea. Let's tell this matter to the people who are also making shrimp sauce. We can fan the flames behind the scenes and make those people find trouble with the Zhang family." Yes, yes, yes. Let's do it. I'll go find Master and tell him." The steward suddenly thought of a good idea. He turned around and was about to leave, but was caught by the fat woman. "Right, what? If you dare to do that, you will die on the day of the accident. Isn't it easy to make money? Listen, there's a way." The fat woman pulled the steward and didn't let him leave. She said worriedly, "What is it?" At this time, the steward also thought that if the Zhang family knew that he was the one who spread the news, he would be killed by the Zhang family. Hearing his wife say that there was a way, he asked curiously, "Why do you think the Zhang family makes so much prawn sauce?" The fat woman asked, "I don't know. Maybe they're shipping it to other places to sell?" The steward thought and said, "Shipping it to where? As long as it's near the sea, there will be people who will make it. It's better to load it with other things and ship it to Zhejiang and Hangzhou to sell it. Then they can buy more prawn sauce and ship it to other places." The fat woman continued, Then what are they going to do with it?" The steward thought about it and agreed. "Why would they take it from this place? How would I know? But don't you know how to watch? As long as they use the prawn sauce to make something, we will do it." The fat woman reminded. Chapter 65. After the manager heard this, he really felt that this method was feasible. The Zhang family had made so much shrimp sauce, it was impossible for them not to leak any information. As long as they knew, it meant that this should be a profitable business. If they couldn't sell the shrimp sauce here, they could learn how to make it and sell it elsewhere. It was better than what they were doing now. At this time, the steward was finally happy and said, "Well, I think so too. I'll go and tell Master. Make me another bowl of noodles. I'll eat it when I come back." "Great, my husband is really amazing. You thought of it so quickly." The fat woman was already used to this. If it wasn't for her bad luck, she wouldn't have been in this position. Seeing the steward leave, she shook her head and went to make noodles. The steward was overjoyed. He jogged all the way, thinking about the reward he would receive if this plan succeeded. Then he thought about little Fishy, who had already left. He sighed and muttered to himself, "What little Fishy? The people in my family are still the best. At least they can make noodles for me." When the steward came to the front and found Master, Lu Shaoqing was still in a daze. The steward directly told him what his wife had just said. After hearing this, Lu Shaoqing nodded and said, "I know it's the Zhang family's plan. They are really amazing. What you said might work. Then let's not worry about it for now. Find the things at home and see how much they can be sold for. No matter what, we have a hold on for a few days. Don't let the other 3 families know about this. Let them be unlucky." "Master, don't worry. I understand. The Zhang family is buying shrimp sauce everywhere at a very low price. If they know, they won't sell it to the Zhang family. They will keep it and wait to learn from the Zhang family. Master, I will definitely not tell anyone. If one more person knows, Master will find me to settle accounts. Then I will arrange for people to keep an eye on the Zhang family now, in case we don't know what they are doing. Master, you should go back and have a rest. It's hot now. It's not good for you to be in the sun too much." The steward quickly said. He had finally gotten rid of that responsibility. When he heard Master's words, he knew that Master didn't intend to pursue the matter. After he finished speaking happily, he turned around and left. This time, he was careful and decided to only send people to keep an eye on the situation. He didn't tell the people he sent the specific situation. Otherwise, if other people knew about it and the news really spread to the other 3 families, he would be finished. As expected, the other 3 families didn't think of this. They only knew that Zhang Zhong had deceived them. He wanted them to be in debt and live a bad life. Sending people to the Zhang family to plead would be useless. Looking at the shrimp sauce in their hands, they couldn't wait to eat it all and then die there. They didn't need to think about other things anymore. The Zhang family gave a new price, which was very cheap. It made them hesitate whether they should sell it or not. If they sold it, they could still survive. If they didn't sell it, they wouldn't be able to survive at all. Just when they couldn't come to a decision, the Zhang family adjusted the price again. It was 15 copper coins per jar. They also said that there was a limit to the amount. After a certain amount, they wouldn't accept more. All of a sudden, the three families became anxious and went to the Zhang family to discuss again. This time, the Zhang family didn't go too far. In any case, they had already made the four families owe them money. They weren't afraid that they would be able to pay back. Therefore, they gave the three families a price of 40 copper coins per jar. The three families reluctantly sold all the shrimp sauce and then began to think of ways to make money. But Lu Xiaoqing's family didn't sell the shrimp sauce. When the three families found out, they felt that it was very inconceivable. What was Lu Xiaoqing thinking? Could it be that his family still had money? Could they still continue to pay back? With such doubts, Chao Hui met with the other two people. Why do you think this is? Why didn't Lu Xiaoqing sell it? Does his family have a way to survive this crisis? Chao Hui said to the two people. At the same time, he also sent people to inquire about the news. You want to know what Lu Xiaoqing was thinking. If there was another way to make money, they could follow and learn from him. Fan Jinxi shook her head. I don't know what he is thinking. I just know that Zhang Zhong doesn't want us to have a good life. If I had known this would happen, I would have gone to welcome him when he came that day. Now, everything is fine. Who would have thought that he would have these ideas? Why don't we go and beg him in person? I heard that his wife is pregnant again. We can use this as an excuse to go to him and apologize. Let him decide. What do you think? We can't go on like this. Let's not talk about the hardships of life. We're always on tenterhooks and we'll get sick. I don't think it's useful. I recently thought about Zhang Zhong and found that as long as his officials do something wrong, especially harm the people, he will do his best to deal with them. If we go and apologize, what are we going to apologize for? Tell him what happened in the past. That's good. He will directly use these things to deal with us. But if we don't say it, how can it be called an apology? We can say that we shouldn't have offended him. He may just smile and say that we didn't do anything to offend him. Then he will invite us out and collect the money like how it should be. I think we can't stay here any longer. We should go to Qinzhou quickly. As long as we tell the provincial governor, surnamed Ning, we can ask him for some money to pay off these debts. At most, we will listen to his surname Ning in the future and sell us. We won't be as strong as we are now. Jiang Huancher didn't agree to admit their mistakes because he found some of Zhang Zhong's style of doing things. He definitely wouldn't forgive them so easily. Instead, he would say that they were wrong and let Zhang Zhong get the evidence. After hearing what he said, the other two people also felt that this matter was troublesome. It seemed that they had to leave this time. As for Lu Xiaoqing, it was up to him to think of a solution. No matter what, since they had already shed all pretense of cordiality, the three of them could only temporarily unite. Although the other two people were very dissatisfied with Chao Hui, after all, his family was taken away by the Zhang family. Chao Hui thought about what happened these days. He looked at the scorching sun overhead and said, "The Zhang family is indeed a good person. They separated the four of us when we were still united. Otherwise, if the four of us were always together, wouldn't we be able to see through their plan? Sowing discord. Sometimes, even though you know it, you have no choice but to jump in. The 30 people in my family are doing pretty well now. I reckon that they will be kicked back in 2 days. Since the Zhang family has achieved their goal, why would they help us raise those people? What I want to say is that the three of us don't have any barriers anymore. Otherwise, it will be very easy for Zhang Zhong to find another opportunity. In the future, if we have something to say, we have to say it out loud. What do you think? I'm really scared." The two listened to Chao Hui and felt that it was reasonable. However, it seemed that it was impossible for them to be like before. After all, they used to make money together. Now, they had to pay their own money. No one felt good being suppressed by money. Fan Jinxi nodded and said, "Then it's settled. We will leave tomorrow. Don't look for others, just the three of us. Once we leave, our families will be very sad. I hope that Zhang Zhong won't specifically target our families. Otherwise, when I have a little chance to get rid of him, I won't let him have an easy time." The three of them discussed for a while and settled the matter. Then they waited for the news to see what Lu was doing. After a while, the person who went out to inquire about the news came back and said to the three of them, "Master, we didn't get anything. It seems that there is something special, but only Lord Liu and his steward know about it. The others don't know. They sent some people to keep an eye on the Zhang family. That's all they know." After the person who inquired about the news finished, he stood aside respectfully and didn't say anything. Fan Jianqi snorted and said, "It seems that he still has other ways. At this time, he didn't tell us about it. Don't blame us for not taking him when we go out. Let's see what he can do. Well, in this case, let's leave him alone first. Now go back and prepare. Don't let him know when the three of us leave. Otherwise, people like him will probably tell." The other two nodded their heads and left to prepare. The Zhang family was also busy. After scheming against the four of them, Zhang Zhong was in a very good mood. Just as the four of them thought, Zhang Zhong wanted to deal with them, but he couldn't find any evidence, so he could only think of other ways. After this, they couldn't expect to make a comeback. The interest was increasing every month. At this time, the Zhang family was making salted vegetables, the salted vegetables with shrimp sauce. They had already asked people to make small baskets. Most of the people who made baskets were the people who didn't work but went to catch shrimp. These people regretted now. Some of them directly waited outside for the Zhang family, and then kowtowed and apologized. They wanted to continue working. These days, they didn't get a lot of wages, and they didn't eat as well as they did when they were working. In the end, the shrimp sauce was worthless, so they were all dumbfounded. Now, they hoped that the good official would forgive them. Zhang Zhong really didn't want to do anything to them. Since they knew they were wrong, he handed the task of making baskets to them. This time, the people didn't dare to blindly think about it. They were very obedient and did what they were told. Looking at them, Zhang Zhong couldn't get angry even if he wanted to. He could only sigh at how unpredictable people were. The original people who continued to work would say a few words when they met them, but they didn't dare to say anything. It was indeed wrong. It turned out that they gave up first, so they couldn't blame others. Under such circumstances, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan brought the team back. In the team, there was also a dog that had recovered quite well. Chapter 66. Zhang Zhong, for some reason. This dog was very sensible and very obedient. It was good to the people around it. It ate what was given. When it could get down and walk by itself, it didn't stay in the kennel all day. Instead, it followed Wang Wan. Its two children were also being carried, so it wasn't in a hurry. Ever since it followed Wang Wan, its food was better. With a gauze wrapped around its leg, it went back and forth between Wang Wan and the kennel all day. When it was time, it would go back and feed the two puppies. Wang Wan occasionally went over to take a look at the two puppies. This big dog, which was supposed to be very protective of its puppies, didn't make a sound when Wang Wan carried the two puppies. It also followed and looked at them. This made Li Sun very jealous. He thought that when the two puppies grew up, they would be as obedient as this big dog. He vowed to find a good dog like this. Xiaobao, how do you think your plan is going now? Do they start to think of ways to raise money after being tricked? I really want to see what they look like. When I first came over, I actually wanted to give them a show of strength first. Let's see if they're still so arrogant now. Wang Wan hugged the puppies and gently stroked them there as she spoke to Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao was actually also thinking about this matter. As long as his plan didn't go wrong, those four people definitely wouldn't be able to escape. Wasn't there no evidence? If there was evidence, they might be locked up. But if there was no evidence, they would be allowed to live in poverty all day. Let's see which one is better. However, Zhang Xiaobao was also worried that they would get money from other places. If that was the case, they would be able to get rid of this matter and think of ways to transfer them away. This was what Zhang Xiaobao didn't want. The four of them were able to force the previous provincial governor to such an extent, which meant that they had done a lot of bad things. How could they be let off so easily? How could there be justice in this world? Thinking of this, Zhang Xiaobao said, according to the days, they should have already started to take action. I just don't know what the final result is. We will know when we go back. There's still a long way to go. Let's speed up. With their example, I think when my father becomes an official in other places in the future, someone will know his weight. People's hearts are always a little bit lucky. Unfortunately, they met my family and let them be lucky. Let's see what they will do. If we don't force them to disperse all the servants in the family, we will definitely not give up. I think we should teach them a good lesson. The local people all hate them. An official hated by the people is definitely not a good official, especially when there is a flood. Everyone is anxious, but they are actually gloating there. Let them be happy. Let's see how long they can be happy. Wang Wan was very happy when she thought that the four of them would be taught a lesson. Even Li Sun next to her was thinking the same. Now he was a good marquis. He was no longer the Li Sun who didn't know anything and only wanted to seize other people's things when they were good. When I have a fief, I will learn your way of doing things. Let's see who is stupid enough to bump into it. The more the better. I am worried that there is nothing to do. Hurry up, speed up, Li Sun said and shouted to the team. The speed of the whole team increased. Wang Wan also asked people to take the dog and put it in the kennel. The three of them were riding on horses. They found horses from the place where they worked. At this time, they were only a little bit away from the provincial capital. The speed of more than 100 people was now much faster than when they first came. They didn't feel the pain in their feet. During the half-month on the mountain, they finally stubbornly persevered. They were used to this kind of movement. In the future, they would find them to try a few more times. The speed of the team increased, and the dog happily ran at the side. When they saw other people on the road, the dog didn't bark. It was so calm that people couldn't understand. After an hour, the provincial capital's yamen finally appeared in front of them. Li Sun happily jumped off the horse and shouted to the place where his house was, "I am back. After more than half a month, I came back alive." Li Sun was indeed very proud. He had been following the team. Although he rode a horse when he went, and when he came back, there were no horses to ride on when they were in the mountain. He followed by himself. This was the real survival in the wild. Compared to the way he did before, it was like heaven and earth. The more than 100 people were relieved. After coming back, they could have a good rest for 2 days. They stayed in the mountain for so long. Each one of them was tanned and thin, but they were more energetic, especially the guards of the Wang Mansion. They had a total of 200 people. Only 50 of them went, and there were still 150 who didn't go. The 50 of them finally had something to say to the people who stayed behind. The other thing they hoped for the most was that after they came back, they would rest for a while and then immediately leave again with the other 150 people. This way, if they were to march in a hurry, they would be able to show off their strength. The 56 people on Zhang Xiaobao's side didn't think too much. They were originally like this. They were the most powerful people in the family. Even if they were more powerful, it didn't matter. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan ran inside as soon as they came down. They wanted to ask their mothers how they were. These days, the two of them were actually thinking about their families, but they couldn't just turn around and come back. They could only continue like this. When the two of them came back, the house immediately became lively. The people in the house were also worried about them. At the same time, they wanted to tell them good news. When the two of them heard about the fate of the 4 people, they were very happy. That's great. This is the punishment they deserve. Let's see if anyone dares to do this in the future. Wang Wan said after she heard and hugged Puppy. Zhang Xiaobao also nodded. Then did they do anything now? Did they find another backer? This matter was what Zhang Xiaobao was most concerned about. He was afraid that the 4 of them would have an extra backer. If that was the case, it would be difficult to deal with. Zhang Zhong looked at his son and said, "We didn't find any extra people. However, the people from the Liu family didn't sell the shrimp sauce to us. Instead, they kept it. I don't know what they are planning to do. As for the others, those 3 people didn't show up. The people from the Liu family also sent people to monitor us. I don't know what they want to do." "Oh, they didn't sell it?" It seems that they think that the shrimp sauce can do something else. They are monitoring us so that they can learn something from us. Could it be that there are powerful people in their family? Let's learn. Let's see how they learn. In that case, let's not talk about it first. How are my mother and Cuckoo's mother? Zhang Xiaobao came up with a rough idea as soon as he stopped. He couldn't prevent this, but he didn't need to. The things here would be shipped away after they were done. If they didn't sell them here first, even if the Liu family found out, they wouldn't have the ingredients to make salted vegetables. They wouldn't be able to survive this period of time. When Zhang Xiaobao mentioned his mother, Wang Wan also waited for a reply. Zhang Zhong smiled and said, Okay, everything is fine. Don't worry. You two suffered a lot on the mountain, right? Hurry up and wash up. Rest early. When you wake up, you can take care of other things. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were indeed tired. They nodded and left with the three dogs. The big dog followed Wang Wan. Even if it was the person who fed it, it didn't follow. The others couldn't figure out the reason. The next morning, the people who were monitoring the four families hurriedly came to report that the people from the three families had disappeared. It was the masters of the three main families. Usually, they would come out for a walk. Today, I didn't know why, but they suspected that they would suddenly leave. After receiving this news, the shrimp seller immediately went to ask when the money would be paid. After asking, the result was that the masters of the three families were gone. Only the others were left. Zhang Zhong didn't say anything after hearing this news. He couldn't do anything to those families. Even if those families had done a lot of bad things in the past, the real sinners were those four people. After sending people to investigate, they finally discovered the secret. The three of them had actually left through an underground passageway. After receiving this news, Zhang Xiaobao thought about it and said, "It seems that the three of them still have people who can help them. In that case, let's wait and see what kind of people they can find. I don't believe that the people they find can be that powerful." Chapter 462. After knowing this, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan did not take it to heart. It was nothing more than finding a rich or powerful person. In fact, if they sent people to chase after them now, it was really possible to catch up with the three of them. The three of them usually lived like princes. Where could they go in such a short time? However, Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao did not have such thoughts. They just let them run and see what would happen. Lu Xiaoqing did not know about this until noon. Needless to say, he also knew that the three of them did not care about him anymore and went to find Tang, governor of Ning, together. In this way, he would really have to deal with Zhang Zhong alone in the future. Thinking of this, he felt that he could not just let it go. Since the three of them did not care about him anymore, he would not keep a secret for them anymore. He arranged for his family to tell Zhang Zhong where the three of them went. After hearing this, Zhang Zhong frowned. He did not expect that the three of them would be so bold as to go to a place outside to find another governor to deal with him. Lu Xiaoqing explained the matter in detail. He even told Zhang Zhong about what the four of them had discussed in the beginning. He let Zhang Zhong prepare in advance, especially about the tea leaves. Oh, so they used such a method. I thought it was very clever. Not to mention the tea leaves, even if we told him everything else, what could he do? Would he dare to come and snatch it? What can the family do? Anyway, last time, because they wanted to collect money, they made our caravan unable to pass. I have long since planned to be on good terms with them. When Zhang Xiaobao was told about the whereabouts of the three of them and their plan, he looked very calm. He was really not afraid of this, and had long been prepared for this matter. Wang Wan thought for a while and said, "The three of them can be locked up now. They left their place without permission. This is not a small crime. Although they are not allowed to do anything, they still have the position of magistrate, right? Yes, this time, they will not be able to come back without 10 days or half a month. Leaving for such a long time is not a small crime. I will tell my father now." Zhang Xiaobao felt that it made sense. Who would dare to run around without any reason? In a while, he would let his father use the excuse of the government to go to their house and ask them to do something. After a few days, the crime would be determined. Then, would they still want to see if they still had a family? In fact, there was no need for Zhang Xiaobao to tell him. Zhang Zhong had also thought of this matter. He had already asked people to use this excuse to go to the three families to look for them. Naturally, they could not find them. That was right. When the three families found out about this situation, they were all dumbfounded. They hurriedly sent people out to search for their masters, wanting to bring them back. However, they had been gone for so long. How could they find them? Moreover, the people at home didn't know which path they had taken. Lu Xiaoqing was happy. When he heard that the government had sent people to look for them, he sat in the courtyard of his house and said to himself, "You want to send me away? Well, let's see how you do it. Now, are you going to come back? What I did today should be considered as making up for my mistakes, right? Why can't Zhang Zhong give me some face? Lu Xiaoqing thought about this and called the person in charge over. He asked him to go over there and ask if they could give more money for the shrimp sauce. The person in charge left quickly and returned quickly. He said to Lu Xiaoqing, "Master, they said that they can't give more money, but they told me that I can use the shrimp sauce to make salted vegetables. They asked people to weave a small basket to hold the salted vegetables. When the time comes, it will be transported to other places to be sold. They also said that you can learn how to make the shrimp sauce. When the time comes to sell it to them, they will give more money. After this jar of shrimp sauce is sold to them, it is estimated that a jar of shrimp sauce should be around 2 strings of money." Okay. Then immediately you make the salted vegetables. Also, get people to weave that basket. When the time comes, sell it to them. When Lu Xiaoqing heard this, he immediately began to give orders. The person in charge said worriedly, "Master, this matter doesn't seem to work. What if they lie to us again?" "What lie?" "They won't lie to us anymore. Even if they have those things, we can't pay them back. There's no need. Just do it. Maybe they will give more money when the time comes. In the future, be more honest. Don't cause trouble. The more honest, the better. Also, send people from home to help with some work. As long as Zhang Zhong feels that we are too pitiful, it is very likely that he will let us go. Otherwise, there won't be good days ahead." "I hope so." Lu Xiaoqing understood. He was prepared to pretend to be pitiful to gain sympathy. After all, his performance today was not bad. Zhang Zhong's side would be soft-hearted. The person in charge understood and left. Lu Xiaoqing stayed in the courtyard. Looking at the gradually darkening sky, he said with emotion, "I didn't expect that when the 3 of them left, I would have found an opportunity. If I knew this would happen, I would have used it in the past." Zhang Zhong was also thinking about something. In fact, it was related to Lu Xiaoqing. He was not prepared to let go of this person easily. However, today, he came over and told him. If others knew about this matter and he still forced him like this, in the future, if someone really did something wrong, would they still come and tell on him? It was because of this that Zhang Zhong told the person in Lu Xiaoqing's house about the salted vegetables so that Lu Xiaoqing could have a way to live. Since the 3 of them went to find a way to live, Lu Xiaoqing would help him find it. However, he would not let go so easily. Even if Lu Xiaoqing could find enough ingredients to make salted vegetables and sell them for money, it would not be enough to pay back those loan sharks. He would only feel a little more relaxed in his life. Time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, it was time to harvest. The rice was growing quite well here. There was also cotton. The cotton needed to be harvested later. The rice would be harvested first. The people who were building the seawall also stopped their work and prepared to harvest the rice. After harvesting, they would immediately plant again. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had nothing to do. Wang Wan was there playing with the little dog. Since the little dog opened its eyes, it began to become restless. It crawled everywhere and looked very cute. Wang Wan would make some rice soup to feed it. Zhang Xiaobao sat in the yard and thought about something. In fact, this matter should not be thought about by him. It involved problems such as water pressure. However, he had nothing to do. He was waiting for the 3 of them to find someone to stir up trouble here. He could only use his energy in other aspects. Wang Wan led the little dog and slowly circled Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao did not care. Suddenly, he said to Wang Wan, who was in front of him, "When we go diving, how deep do you think we can go with the tools we can think of here?" "Diving? Who wants to dive? We don't have anything here." Wang Wan asked puzzledly. "There are many things here that can only be fished up from the sea. In other words, we need some people to go to the bottom of the sea. For example, local specialties. Isn't that the case? If we can let people dive in, it will be easy to pick them up. What do you think of blowing bubbles for pigs? Can it be used?" Zhang Xiaobao had this idea for a long time, but he had never said it. Now that he thought of it, he decided to give it a try. If he could make such a thing, then there would be more local specialties here, and it would be more profitable. Wang Wan thought for a moment and said, "This doesn't seem to work, right? If it is relatively shallow water, it will work. If it is too deep in the sea, the pressure will be too great. I don't think people can bear it. Then think about it. What if we use a pipe to let people go down? Will this work?" Wang Wan felt that it would be very difficult to summon qi from pigs under that pressure. She gave Zhang Xiaobao another hint. This time Zhang Xiaobao shook his head. How can there be such a long pipe? Also, there is no soft pipe. Let's think of another way. There is no rush. There is still a lot of time to do this. I think so too. Don't worry, take it slow. The most important thing now is to harvest the rice. It seems that this rice is growing well here. The yield is not low. When the time comes, we can use this thing to exchange with the surrounding states for their poor rice. The commoners will have more food in their homes. Wang Wen also could not think of how to dive. Without the equipment, she changed the topic and talked about the rice. Zhang Xiaobao also went to see it personally. The weather here was good. The rice had a long time of sunlight. In addition, it was a slow-growing variety. It grew well. In addition to the rice, there is also cotton. This year, we can make more cotton-padded clothes. It is a pity that we can't wear them. However, it'll be good for our farmers to wear. Li Sun said that he wants to plant more and submit this method to the higher-ups. Back then, he promised us a year. Now that the time has come, we will make as much money as we can this year. Wang Wan thought of cotton again. It was not easy to monopolize this thing. Old Man Pai and Li Sun both wanted to plant a large amount of this thing so that the commoners could get some benefits in certain aspects. At the same time, the most important thing was to fight. Wearing this cotton-padded clothes could withstand the cold. They could not let all the soldiers wear a set of eiderdown. Therefore, this secret could not be kept. Wang Wan was a little unhappy. It was not that she did not want to help the country and the people. If this business was handed to her, she could guarantee that she could grow more cotton. Chapter 68 Xiaobao didn't care much about this and said, even if other people plant it, we can still make money. This cotton is a new product, and they haven't fully understood the system of making things with this cotton. Don't worry, when other people have cotton, we can make all kinds of things with this cotton. For example, cloth dolls stuffed with cotton. Zhang Xiaobao thought of this. Wang Wan's eyes suddenly lit up, and she said, yes, I forgot about this. I just want to make more clothes. Besides clothes, I can use cotton for other things. In this way, I don't have to worry about other people growing cotton. Well, now help me think. What else can cotton do? That's a lot. Cotton's uses are not just what you see on the surface. For example, the cotton seeds can be used to extract oil. This is considered a good thing. Slowly think about it. I don't know when the pigeons will be produced. The hatching has actually failed. Zhang Xiaobao thought of the pigeons again. Humans, when they had nothing to do, they would start thinking about other things. Cherries had always been in charge of this. Originally, she was in charge of hatching things. Now that they were hatching pigeons, they naturally looked for her. In the end, they had tried many times and failed every single time. They had already wasted a lot of pigeon eggs. Fortunately, the old man did not care. The old man also knew that as long as this matter succeeded once, it would be simple. There would be more and more pigeons in the future. Wang Wen also felt that this pigeon was not easy to deal with, but she could not let Cherries stop. If that happened, Cherries would definitely think that she did not do a good job and make the master angry. Her enthusiasm would be dispelled. Let Cherries try. It's best to find more pigeon eggs and let her hatch them according to different methods. For example, time, temperature, humidity, etc. As long as they are met, there will always be a place where she succeeds. It is impossible for her to fail every single time. Wang Wan thought about it and decided to continue investing in Cherries. She wanted to let Cherries rest assured. This kind of thing must be encouraged, just like pomegranate's fungus. When she thought of the fungus, Wang Wan happily said to Zhang Xiaobao, pomegranate succeeded. She really grew mushrooms, and there are a lot of them. There are two kinds. One is like the golden needle mushroom, and the other one is unknown. The other one is very large. When did this happen? Why didn't I know? Zhang Xiaobao did not expect that pomegranate really grew mushrooms. He was curious and a little puzzled. She just did it. Two kinds of mushrooms were grown at the same time. It happened last night. Pomegranate did not know whether it could kill people, so she did not tell others. I saw it when I was wandering around. She told me. She also asked me to help her keep it a secret. She said that when she knew that it could be eaten without killing people, she would grow more. What do you think? Isn't it amazing? Wait for her to learn more, then let her grow ginseng. Anyway, there's nothing else. If they are willing to try again and again, then let them try. Don't you think it should be like this? Wang Wan felt that the money was well spent. Mushrooms, were they so easy to grow? But pomegranate was able to grow them, and cherries also had to be treated like this. Chapter 463. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. The old man was looking around with his clairvoyance, but he couldn't see the pier. The pier was in the middle of the bay, so he could only see boats coming and going. They were all fishing boats. Grandpa, look over there. There are many birds in the sky. Aya, all the boats are heading that way. Are they trying to catch the birds? Air stood at the bow of the boat and shouted happily while pointing at the sea birds flying in the sky. She had been watching the sea for more than a month, but she was still willing to watch the sea for a whole day. The old man looked over and nodded, then shook his head and said, Air, they are not catching birds, they are fishing. Those seabirds found a school of fish in the water below, so they gathered together to eat. When the fishermen saw this, they followed them. Oh, why didn't I see such a thing on the road? I know on the road, I saw many fishing boats. Even if there were many, there weren't so many. Moreover, they all went to sea early. Some went to sea at night and returned early in the morning. Usually, there were only a few people, so there was no chance to see it. They gathered everyone together. Some were in charge of chasing the fish, some were in charge of catching the fish, and they were divided into batches. This is better. Why didn't other places know about this? So stupid. Air asked and began to answer on her own. She didn't need others to say anything. The old man found that his granddaughter was indeed different from before. Seeing his granddaughter ask about the cooperation, he explained, some people will cooperate. For example, in some fishing villages, they will cooperate to catch fish. But many times, it will be difficult to distribute the fish. If they catch too much, they will catch too little, and the distribution will not be as fair. Some people don't have the strength to catch fish, but they are experienced and know where the fish are. Then they will bring them on the boat, and when the time comes, won't they have to distribute the fish properly? Sometimes they will lose, and sometimes they will gain. If a person is always losing, then he will not do it. Yes, Grandpa, I understand. In fact, it's just that they lack a prestigious organizer. This organizer must be as fair as possible. It seems that they are doing a good job. Exia said as she looked at the boats that had already dispersed. As soon as the ship entered the bay, the old man discovered that there were some sandbanks on the beach. However, they weren't completely finished yet. Only two old men were sitting there, motionless while looking at the sea. The old man didn't know what to say. He didn't know what to say. He didn't know what to say. Exia also saw the unfinished dike, then looked into the distance and said, there's a salt pan over there. It's for drying salt. It's really capable. It can actually dry it. I saw in Lianzhou. They all learned it from here. Did their people all go to collect food? I heard that the food here can grow many times a year. Then they must have a lot of food. Yes, drying salt is much easier than boiling salt. Look at the seawall. It's a real service to the country and the people. When he finishes building the seawall, it's almost time for him to leave this place. The ones who will benefit the most are the next provincial governor and the local people. The money is paid by the Zhang family first. It's impossible to get the money back by relying on the tax of the government. The old man sighed. As long as he faced the Zhang family, he couldn't help but sigh. When it came to money, became smart. She continued her grandfather's words and said, in fact, this is why the Zhang family is so powerful. They spent money and won the hearts of the people. They also have the position of provincial governor. They also have political achievements. Naturally, the provincial governor will protect his family's business. Ordinary businessmen won't do this kind of thing because they won't get any benefits. But people like the Zhang family are suitable. They spend money to make a good place. Only then can they rely on this place to make money. It's like a fisherman throwing some rice flour, bones, and other things into the water before fishing. When the fish follow the smell, they will use better bait to catch them. Grandpa, although the Zhang family spends a lot of money, they also make a lot of money. When Uncle Zhang is no longer here, this place will also have the power of the Zhang family. They organize all the people in all the industries. They have mutual shares and management. In this way, if others want to get involved, they have to pay a high price. The most important thing is that all these things called shares are given to the people at the bottom. If you want to buy them one by one, if you want to separate all the combined industries and choose only one industry to invest in, the price you have to pay will far exceed the price of the industry itself. In other words, others can't get in at all, right? The old man asked his granddaughter. Yes, there's no industry that can't be entered. It depends on the method. At least, the Zhang family can't find out, and the Zhang family can't fight back. If the Zhang family isn't in charge of this place now, I can get in slowly. But with the Zhang family, if I want to get in, I have to go directly to the Zhang family and pay a certain price to get in. Exionnaire said without thinking. She wasn't afraid of how firm the thing was. She was afraid that this firm thing could be moved. As long as she made a move, the Chamber of Commerce would fight back. The old man understood now. It turned out that there were loopholes in such a messy system of mutual shares. It was just that when this loophole existed, there was someone holding the fort. Judging from the current situation, it seemed that no one could compete with the Zhang family in this aspect, especially when the Chamber of Commerce was in the hands of the Zhang family. The Zhang family had all the right time, the right place, and the right people. Grandpa, look, there's a boat coming. It seems to be coming for us. It's a small boat. Exionaire's eyes were sharp. She immediately saw the boat coming over and shouted to her grandfather. The old man looked and saw that the boat was indeed coming for them. The person standing on the boat was waving at them, so he must know that they were here. Exionnaire also waved happily. While waving her arms, she said to her grandfather, "Grandpa, now I can finally swim with Xiao Bao and Cuckoo, right? I wanted to swim on the way here. I can swim more than 100 feet in the river. Didn't they say that swimming in the sea is more effortless? Okay, you can swim here. How far can you swim with your 100 feet? Look at the sea. You can't reach the end of it for more than 1,000 feet. If you follow Xiao Bao and Cuckoo, you can swim however you want. Their swimming skills are not ordinary. Is he asking us to get close to them? Do we have to get off the boat?" The old man said to his granddaughter. He saw that the person on the boat was waving at them again and pointing at the boat under his feet from time to time. When the boat was close enough, the man finally shouted, "Someone come down and follow me back to report the news." "Oh, why don't you get off? When you reach the place, tell them that I'll be there immediately. There's no need to make such a big show to welcome them. The food is more important," the old man said to the person beside him. He knew that with his relationship with the Zhang family, they would make some preparations after he went over. He didn't care about this kind of thing. He didn't need to make a big show. With his relationship with the Zhang family, it was fine as long as he saw them. Just let Xiao Bao, Cuckoo, and Sister Lu come over. There's no need for the others. Go to your work. Exionnaire also said. She was so anxious that she wished she could grow a pair of wings and fly over there to see the few people she wanted to see. At this time, a person from the boat came over and said to the old man flatteringly, "Sir, you're such a high-ranking official. If they don't come to welcome you, it means that they don't respect you enough. Let them welcome you." The old man turned to look at this person and asked, "You're not from the Jingwater boat line? I hitch a ride on a boat. A relative of mine took me here. I heard that there are a lot of good things here. I want to see if I can do some business." The person immediately replied. The old man nodded and didn't say anything. With his status, he didn't need to explain anything to a person who secretly took a boat. However, Exionnaire couldn't accept it. She said, "What do you mean by respect? Between the clouds and the water is such a big business. Isn't it respect that you specially ordered the recipe for my grandfather? My grandfather, and I want to come here and take a look. We transferred this kind of boat from the Jingwater boat line. It only takes people and doesn't carry goods. Do you know how much money you'll lose each time? Isn't that respect?" Yes. Respect. It's definitely respect. This person originally wanted to flatter this high-ranking official, but he didn't expect that after being asked a few questions, he couldn't say anything else. Air continued. People like you who secretly take a boat and use the name of a boat line should be dealt with, especially by the relative who let you on. What if you assassinate my grandfather? However, I won't pursue this matter. As the saying goes, when the water is too clear, there will be no fish. And don't talk too much. Leave as soon as you get down. Yes, it should be dealt with. It's just that there are no fish. When I get down, I'll immediately, I originally wanted to do some business with the locals. I didn't expect that they were all trading companies. This is going to be troublesome. This person glanced at the bodyguards who were standing guard by the side and nodded at Air. However, when he thought of the purpose of his visit, he became very depressed. Since the Zhang family had their own fleet, how could they let others interfere? What's more, his original idea couldn't be realized now. That was to discuss with the relative and come here by boat. After buying some things, they would quietly transport them to the boat and follow the boat back. This way, they could save on the cost of the boat and make a lot of money, especially the hawksbill turtles, which were very valuable in other places. Air could make money by herself and played the top commercial game. As soon as she heard this person's words, she knew what his plan was. This kind of person could be considered a talent. He actually came so far to make money and even took such a big risk. Air's personality was different from normal people because she often interacted with Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan and played the game with special rules. Normally, when people found out about this kind of thing, they would first arrest this person and then have someone send a letter back to control the person's relatives. But what Air was thinking was how to observe such a person and then take him in for her own use when she felt that he was good enough. Therefore, she coughed and pretended to be an old woman and said, "About this, you can still take care of him. Tell me, what kind of business do you do over there?" The person was stunned when he heard this. When he looked at Air's expression and the way she looked with her hands behind her back, he almost laughed, but he knew that he absolutely couldn't laugh. If he did, it would be over. When he tried to hold it in, his expression was very painful, but he could not answer. He knew that this was an opportunity. Although the person in front of him was a little girl, many people would listen to her. He organized his words and said, "I do all kinds of business over there, but there is no fixed business. If I see something that is profitable, I will do it. I don't have much money, only a little more than 1,000 strings of coins. This time, I came here to buy some hawksbill turtles and shell incense, but it seems that I won't be able to get them." "Oh." Air and Wei Wei nodded and then asked, "Land A is a place where there is more rain and less drought. It produces rice. It is 300 miles away from Land B. There are 2 rivers in the middle, and the water flows rapidly. There's also a mountain, which is very steep. Land B is more drought and less rain, and it is rich in jujubes." Question: the weather suddenly changed. This year, Land A is more drought and less drought, and Land B is more rain and less drought. What should be bought and sold between the 2 places? It changed? The person listened and was about to interrupt to say that he could buy rice from Land A and sell it to Land B, and then buy jujubes from Land B and sell them to Land A, but he didn't expect this to be a question, and it was a sudden change in weather. The person was stumped by the question. After thinking for a while, he suddenly said, "I know. I can also buy rice from Land A, raise the price of rice from Land A, and then buy rice from Land B and sell it to Land A. As long as I have enough money, I can make a lot of money from farming. You only have 1,000 strings of coins. How is that enough? Didn't you just say that you have 1,000 strings of coins?" Air said, "Then I will use 300 strings of coins to buy rice from Land A, and 700 strings of coins to buy rice from Land B." The person directly divided the 1,000 strings of coins. Air curled her lips. "Then why don't you just buy 1,000 strings of rice from Land B? Can your 300 strings of coins raise the price of rice from Land A? You don't need to raise the price. It's already higher." "Yes, 1,000 strings of cash to buy rice in the 2nd district. Actually, I was confused just now and blurted it out. I will buy 1,000 strings of cash to buy rice in the 2nd district." The man quickly corrected. He was indeed confused just now and thought that he had answered correctly this time. Air slapped her forehead with her hand, and shook her head. I wanted to help you once, but who knew that you were only suitable for this kind of small business? Land A is dry, and there is no food or grass. Why don't you farm cows? Why do you have to buy rice? According to the previous climate of Land A, there will definitely be a lot of cows. The jujubes in Land B are not sweet anymore. Can't you buy jujube nectar? Then you can buy the jujubes and make them into candied jujubes. Why do you have to keep your eyes on that little bit of rice? You can continue with that kind of thinking. The person was stunned. Didn't they say that he would buy rice and jujubes? Why did he suddenly buy cows and nectar? This change was too fast. The person was about to say that it was unreasonable. The things given and the questions and answers were unreasonable. Suddenly, he felt that this question sounded familiar. He asked in confusion, "Where did this question come from?" There are many answers, but this one is the most reasonable. There is another answer that can also be passed, and that is to use your little money to hire people. First, you sign a contract, and then you go to the 2 rivers and mountains to help others transport things. The money you earn is also more than you buy rice. But this answer is limited. Do you have to buy and sell in Land A and Land B? Your development is too slow. A few days ago, I used a little money and earned a few dozen strings of coins in a month. After another month, I earned more than 200 strings of coins. Now that I have invested that money in other businesses, I estimate that when I go back, I will have a few thousand strings of coins. How can you join like this? Do you know how fast the Zhang family makes money? Even if I give you a chance, you can't grasp it. At this time, Xiner stopped pretending to be mature. She felt very uncomfortable. She was talking to a businessman who could travel so far, but he didn't understand. It was such a simple question. It was better to quickly meet with Xiao Bao, Cuckoo, and Sister Luer. If she asked such a question to the 3 of them, they would definitely be able to answer it easily. Xiner stopped pretending to be mature, but this person suddenly became serious, especially when he heard that this was a question for the high-level players of the game. After thinking about what Xiner said, he finally realized that the girl in front of him was actually a top-level player. No wonder she was so arrogant. It was said that those top-level players could earn money even in real life. After reaching the top level in the game, they would basically leave the game. Just like a business plan, they would seek benefits and collisions in the plan. The old man, who was standing at the side, heard everything. He also didn't expect that the matter between A and B would end up like this. No one would have thought that this was just a simple question. In that case, his granddaughter must have passed the exam easily. Other than the question, it also depended on the number of wins and losses and the amount of money in the game. When the old man thought of this, a gratified smile appeared on his face. He also felt a little proud. This was his granddaughter. She didn't embarrass the Minister of Revenue. At the same time, he felt even more grateful to the Zhang family. Without the Zhang family's game, without Xiao Bao and Cuckoo chatting with his granddaughter in the past, there definitely wouldn't be the current Xiner. This person who came to speculate felt very uncomfortable. He didn't expect that after working so hard for so many years and earning 1,000 strings of coins, this girl could earn dozens of strings of coins in a month and 200 strings of coins in a month. He didn't doubt the authenticity of this matter at all. He acknowledged the methods of those top-level players. None of those who rushed to the top were poor people in real life. Xiner, in this world, not everyone can find opportunities. The old man saw that this person's expression was ugly and said to his granddaughter. Xine understood as soon as she heard this. She had struck a blow to others and could easily make them lose confidence. She stuck out her tongue and said, "How about this? Don't be in a hurry to buy things. Just play the game with us here. When you can clearly distinguish between the game and reality, then we'll see. Okay? Okay. I'm actually just a beginner. Most of the time, playing dice depends on luck." This person understood and said gratefully, "Okay, then I'll play beginner with you. I haven't played for a long time." Actually, beginner doesn't just depend on luck. It also depends on calculation. Xiner agreed. This person felt very lucky. He didn't expect to meet such a kind-hearted girl. From this girl's words, he knew that people who could play with her were not simple people. The most important thing was that sentence, the Zhang family's money-making speed. Yes, if he wanted to cooperate with them like this, they would ignore him if he didn't have the ability. Then he should stay here for a while. Otherwise, how much money could he make? He didn't have the ability, so he should learn and see how they usually did it. This was called sharpening the axe does not delay the work of cutting wood. As long as he learned something well, it didn't matter if he delayed for half a year. When the time came, he would make more money than all the other times combined. Chapter 464. When the old man's boat arrived at the dock, as expected, there were not many people who came to welcome them. Only the clan heads of the Zhang family and Wang family, Zhang Xiaobao, Wang Wan, and Li Sun came to join the fun. There were also about 100 guards. In total, there were less than 200 people, including those who were still recovering at the dock. There was no gathering of the people and people in the yamen to come out and welcome them. There was no beating of gongs or drums and no firecrackers. When the old man was waiting for the boat to dock, he observed some houses built not too far away from the dock. They were neat and orderly, and people were moving things around. It seemed to be a warehouse. When he used his clairvoyance to look further, he could see the houses. There were several bamboo houses with a front yard and a backyard. The courtyards were built in an orderly manner. It was already noon, so there was no smoke. There were only a few ducks wandering in the courtyard. They could see some vegetables planted in the front yard, as well as some grape trellis. There were 3 roads leading to the dock. Some flowers and trees were planted at the roadside. The trees were still small, and they should have been transplanted later. When he looked at them carefully, he could see that they were kapok trees. They came at the wrong time, and they were too small. Otherwise, he could see the fiery red scenery. Just by looking at it, no one could imagine that this place had been hit by both a flood and a typhoon a few months ago. Basically, all the places were washed away. When they passed by Lianzhou, the shore was still overgrown with weeds. The washed stones, wood, and mud were mixed together. It was a mess everywhere. "Grandpa, this place is so beautiful. There are wind chimes on the pillars at the dock. Is this Luzhou? Everyone says that this place is not good, but it looks good. The sky is blue. The birds are floating in the clouds. The fishing boats are coming. The waves are returning to the tide. The bamboo buildings are standing side by side, and the ducks are chirping. Life here must be good." Xian Air was also attracted by the scenery, especially the flowers and plants by the roadside. The flowers were still blooming. When the sea breeze blew, Wei Wei shivered. It was completely different from what she imagined. There was no picture of such a scene in the album. The old man took a deep breath and slowly exhaled. He felt that this place was indeed beautiful, but it was definitely not like this. Otherwise, why would Lianzhou be different? The Thunder Prefecture wasn't affected at all and couldn't be compared to this place. Xian Air, this is what it means to be capable. If the same place is managed by different people, it will definitely be different. Even if ordinary officials do their best, they won't think of planting so many flowers and trees on the shore of the pier and behind the seawall. Not all places can be like Chang'an, but Zhangzhou has done it. Look at that road. As long as you stand on it and look forward, it will definitely be very comfortable. The Zhang family is considerate. In this way, the local people will work even harder. I know, Grandpa. This is what Xiao Bao and Cuckoo told me before. Infrastructure construction has a special feeling for the people. It can make the people feel united and have a sense of honor. But where are the people? Even if they are harvesting rice, there should be people at home delivering food now. There is no smoke from the chimneys. Xian Air knew a lot of things. When she played with Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan in the past, the two of them often told her things. At this time, she met with them. The old man chuckled and patted his granddaughter's head. Xian Air, how could you forget? When the Zhang family asks people to do things, they always prepare food. Why do they need people to do it themselves? The people who are working may have already eaten. When we go down, they will also eat. I know, Grandpa. I didn't expect them to take care of so many people. I thought they would only take care of them when there were not many people. That would cost a lot of money. When we go down to eat, we have already prepared. I didn't eat in the morning. The boat is good, but the food made by the chef is not good. If I had known, I would have brought a chef from between the clouds and the water. I was waiting for this meal. The Zhang family will definitely build a restaurant here. The chef can't be bad. Actually, my favorite food is made by Xiaobao and Cuckoo. I have seen them make meat floss with my own eyes, the kind that is eaten as snacks. When Air talked about food, she began to salivate and put her hand on her stomach. The chef on the boat was not good. She had suffered a lot during the journey. When she knew that she would be arriving at the destination today, she did not eat since morning. She was looking forward to the welcome banquet prepared by the Zhang family. While they were talking, the boat docked at the pier. There was a special place for big boats to dock here. The pier's trestle was higher, so it could be adjusted. Those who were flat could use it as a springboard. Air was the first to jump over. She rushed directly to Zhang Xiaobao, Wang Wan, Lu Wei Wei, and Li Sun. She played with one and hugged the other. She seemed very happy. The old man was naturally Zhang Zhong, and the others went up to welcome them. They got on the carriage and walked on the flat and spacious road. They used the fastest speed to arrive at the newly built restaurant. The name was changed. It was not the original Jinlai restaurant. Instead, it was named in accordance with the scenery here. The name Between the Clouds and the Water was similar to Between the Clouds and the Water, but it was slightly more imposing. In fact, the old man did not want to eat with so many people. He only wanted Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan to accompany him. However, he had to gather with everyone for the welcome banquet. Since they were at the seaside, they naturally had to eat things from the sea. All kinds of shellfish were cooked with different methods. There were also sea snails, sea cucumbers, shark fins, and abalones. There was not a single dish that was not from the sea on the big table. The people brought by the old man were also arranged to eat at other places. It was also a sea banquet. It was not to say that everything from the sea was served, but that everything was from the sea. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang did not think that there was a place in the world where everything from the sea could be used to cook. It was reasonable to say that Zhang Xiaobao, Wang Wan, and Li Sun could all eat at the main table, but the other children could not. They had to follow the rules. The three of them could only eat at the same table with the other children. The other children did not understand. Li Sun also did not know which of these dishes was the best. He only felt that the abalones and shark fins were good. Many people ate these. Air was the main guest, so Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan naturally had to accompany her. Seeing that others had started to eat, Air also wanted to eat the abalones. She was immediately stopped by Cuckoo, who said in a low voice, "Fresh abalones or small abalones? The big ones have been made into dry abalones. Eat this first. It's old vinegar head. It's 30-year-old vinegar. It's the best. After eating it, you can eat more other things. After eating this, eat the drunken prawns. Use Shaoxing. Oh, it's the old vinegar head from Shanin County. The prawns have been processed, so you don't have to worry about getting sick. However, after processing, the seafood is a little less vigorous. We don't use old vinegar head either. Safety first." Of course, Air did not suspect that Cuckoo was lying to her. After listening, she began to eat. It was really good. Even if the old vinegar head was indeed sour, it was comfortable. The drunken prawns were also big. They should be used to make prawns. It was very easy to eat them. In order to kill the parasites, a lot of prawns were consumed. The ones that were consumed were used to make hot dishes. When the prawns were taken out, they were first raised in a special pool. Then, they were added with increasing amounts of salt. Not many of them could survive. After raising them with salt water, they were raised with indigo and lime water. In this way, a lot of prawns would die. This was invented by Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. They did not care about the number of prawns that were lost. Anyway, only those that survived under such circumstances could be used to make drunken prawns. They tried their best to kill the parasites on the prawns, even if the chances of the parasites on the prawns were small. Those dead prawns were not thrown away. As long as they could not survive, they would be brought to Hai Yunjian and braised, steamed, and so on. If a lot of them died, they would definitely have a special price for today's prawn dishes. After 4 hours, if they still could not be sold, they would make prawn balls. In fact, it was a little immoral to do this. However, the amount of prawn in the pool was very small. It would not affect people's health at all. It was specially sold to merchants who came here to buy things. When one came to this place, it would be very embarrassing if they did not go to Hai Yunjian for a meal. Xian ate with ease. She ate 2 prawns in one go. When she was about to take the 3rd prawn, she was a little hesitant. Such a big prawn could easily fill people up, and she would not be able to eat other dishes. She could only temporarily give up. Then, she ate a mouthful of jellyfish and took a sip of wine. She pulled a plate of crab closer. There were 8 pieces of crab meat on the table. Xian thought for a while and pushed them to the side. She stuck her chopsticks into the crab, and with a little force, the crab was opened up. She used a spoon to sweep the crab inside and found a large piece of crab meat. She ate it first, then scooped a spoonful and dipped it in a light sauce. This was the ginger vinegar, followed by the thick sauce. Different things would taste different. Li Sun ate in the same way. He had been tricked before and ate with 8 pieces of crab meat. He ate elegantly, but before he could finish eating a crab, others were already full. Here, no one cared whether the food was clean or not. He ate the good meat first. The crab was big. In addition to its big pincers, there was also a lot of meat in its small claws. He broke it off and put it aside, waiting to be eaten as snacks. Zhang Xiaobao ate and left the table. He ran to the kitchen at the back and got some shredded scallions. He put them in a bowl and sent it to the old man. Grandpa Bai, did you feel wet and uncomfortable on the way here? Zhang Xiaobao put down the bowl and asked. Other people would pick the good food first, but Zhang Xiaobao had to ask about this. The old man was not angry at all. He nodded and said, it was wet and uncomfortable. Sometimes I felt sick. Fortunately, I ate the ginger slices as you said. The main thing is that I came out in a hurry and didn't bring a cook from between the clouds and the water. The food was not good. Now that I am here, I am relieved. Then eat the crab meat with this. Don't eat the ginger. Eat the scallions directly. The sauce has been mixed. You must eat at least 3 shredded scallions with every bite. Eat less crab. Eat the prawns. Zhang Xiaobao pointed at the scallions in the bowl and said, well, eat, eat. Listen to Xiaobao. With Xiaobao and Cuckoo here, I feel that I can live for 10 more years. I will eat 2 bites of the crab and then eat the prawns. Chapter 465. When the old man arrived, the Zhang family cleared out 3 courtyards for him. At this time, it was impossible for the old man to stay in an inn. They would first arrange for the main members of the family to stay in the courtyard. The guards did not need to stay in the courtyard. After lunch, the old man and the others went to rest. After all, they had traveled for a long time. If there was anything else, they could talk about it tomorrow. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan began to arrange the fleet. Xian had already leaked the news that the Ning family might arrive in about 10 days. They were going to travel by water. The 2 of them hurriedly blocked the water route. It was impolite not to reciprocate. Wasn't Qin province able to stop the caravan here and ask for money? If they forced Lu Zhou to take a detour, they would be unhappy if Lu Zhou did not stop them. It was only right for them to reciprocate. They had already harvested a portion of the rice. They did not plan to harvest the rice directly. Instead, they directly transported the rice to the neighboring provinces. After the flood, some rice was replanted there and ripened earlier than here. They would use the rice here to trade with the other provinces. The relief supplies from the imperial court had also arrived. They would be distributed according to the number of people in the household register. They would only be given 3 months' worth of rations. It was unknown what the other provinces would do with the rations, but Lu Zhou directly used the rations to make wine. Wine was easier to sell at the seaside. As long as the price was lower, it would be fine. People who went out to sea could not afford to drink wine. Usually, people who went fishing would get sick when they were old. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan planned to distill some low-alcohol wine that had a higher alcohol content than rice wine. When the time came, they would sell it to the surrounding fishermen. They did not have to buy it with cash. They could trade it with fish and prawns. During the disaster, Zhang Xiaobao did not expect the imperial court to be able to send enough things over at the critical moment. That was simply impossible. This time, the food that was sent over was only checked and directly put into the warehouse. Naturally, the quantity was not right. It was originally old grain, but there was actually sand in it. When the old man arrived at his destination and was about to take a look around, Lu Zhou was about to finish harvesting the rice, and the people were about to live a good life. Chao Hui and the other two finally arrived at the Yamen of Qin province. Chao Hui, Fan Jinshi, and Zhang Huanshi had rushed all the way here in such a short time. It had to be said that the three of them had the talent to be scouts. Outsiders didn't know how much hardship they had suffered. When there was a road, they could hitch a ride with other people's carriages. When there was no road, they could only walk by themselves. The three of them actually managed to walk in a straight line. When they saw the Yamen of Jinzhou, the three of them cried tears of joy. At this point, the three of them were wearing tattered clothes. Their bodies were covered with countless wounds, and their faces were stained with mud. The first impression they gave people was that they had escaped from somewhere else. Let's see how much money we have. They had to change their clothes before they could meet the Tang governor of Ning. If they went in like this, it seemed impossible to meet him. I have 30 copper coins here. Zhang Huanshi looked at the Yamen in front of them, but she did not dare to go in. There were already people there who had noticed the three of them and were on guard. If they went in directly, they would be lucky if they did not get beaten to death. Zhang Huanshi took out 30 copper coins and held them in her hand as she said to the two people. Fan Jinshi also searched her body and found 22 copper coins. The two of them looked at Chao Hui again, waiting for a surprise or a feeling of falling into hell. Needless to say, Chao Hui had more money than the two of them. He even had a piece of broken silver on him. In addition to the 1 copper coin, he also had 13 copper coins. The three of them were relieved. With this money, they could not buy a good set of clothes, but they could find an inn to stay in and change into normal clothes. The three of them were preparing to find an inn to rest for a day, then change their clothes and come here to find the person. Suddenly, a 13 or 14-year-old child rushed over. His speed was so fast that the three of them who saw Hope and Relax did not react in time. The child ran past them, and Chao Hui's copper coins and silver coins were gone. Zhang Huanshi and Fan Jinshi were better. They did not put on their copper coins. When the child caught them, he left behind 7 copper coins for the three of them. Catch the thief. Hurry up and catch him. Don't let him run away. He stole our money. The three of them were stunned for a moment before they reacted. Chao Hui ran in the direction of the child, shouting as he chased after him. The other two followed suit. Unfortunately, the child's endurance was obviously better than the three of them who had traveled a long distance. His explosive power was also higher than theirs. The three of them who had been pampered before could not catch up with the child at all. The people in front of them heard the three of them. If their clothes were better and the dirt on their faces were less, perhaps someone would help them stop the child. However, the three of them were in a very sorry state. The others looked at the children, who were dressed decently, and then looked at the three of them. They all ran away, afraid that the three of them would go crazy from poverty and catch them and accuse them of stealing their money. After a while, the child ran out of sight. The three of them could not chase him anymore. They sat there paralyzed, tightly holding the 7 copper coins in their hands, and looked in the direction of the child in a daze. With a paw sound, a half-eaten biscuit fell in front of the three of them. The bite was still stained with saliva. A few sesame seeds were embedded on the biscuit, letting people know that it was called a sesame seed biscuit. The biscuit was closest to Chao Hui. After seeing the biscuit, Chao Hui raised his head in confusion, wanting to see what was going on. As soon as he raised his head, he saw a strong man glancing at him and saying, "This biscuit is not delicious. After biting 2, you don't want to eat anymore. It's a reward for you. Hurry up and eat." After saying that, the man was about to leave. Chao Hui could not bear it anymore. He vented his anger of being robbed and said to the man, "You snob, you dare to throw this broken biscuit to us? I should gouge your eyes out. Hey, I gave you half a biscuit and you dare to scold people? This is the first time I've seen a beggar complain that it smells bad. I'll let you scold with all your strength. When a man saw that he was being scolded, he went over and started fighting with the three of them. The three of them had already used up a lot of energy to walk to this place. After chasing after a bandit, they didn't have the strength to fight with this strong man. After a few moves, they could only hold their heads and force themselves to stand there. After all, the strong man had a good heart. Otherwise, he would not give the biscuit to others. After hitting them a few times, he shook his head and said, "Forget it. You three don't know what's good for you. Let's see who will give you something to eat." What a pity. After saying that, the strong man walked away. Chow Hui moved his arm away and looked at the strong man's back as he walked away. He opened his mouth, but no words came out. Instead, he opened his mouth wider and started to cry. The other two brothers also could not control themselves. The three of them hugged each other and cried bitterly. They were too sullen. When they were in Luzhou, they were bullied by the common people and by Zhangzhou. They did not expect that when they just arrived in Qin province, they would be bullied twice. Their money was robbed, and they were beaten up. After that, they could not find the person they wanted to find. Chow Hui cried for a while. Then, he said to the other two, "I think we shouldn't be so polite. Let's fight and see if we can meet the person. What can we do with 7 copper coins?" Fan Jinshi wiped a snot and tears and nodded. "Then let's go. Wait for the day when we become as strong as before. No, even stronger than before. We won't let any of them go." The three of them quickly reached an agreement. Enduring the pain, they walked to the yamen. As soon as they arrived, as expected, the gatekeeper immediately came up to them and scolded. "What are you doing? If you want to beg, go somewhere else. Get lost." After that, the gatekeeper turned around and walked away. He muttered, "I gave you face, but you don't want it. If you don't want half a biscuit, don't beg." "Wait," Chow Hui called out. When the gatekeeper turned around, he took the remaining 7 copper coins and handed it to the gatekeeper. "Brother, I have a favor to ask. We'll go to the Tang governor of Ning and tell him that the 3 judges of Luzhou have something important to tell him. We've come all the way here to tell the Tang governor of Ning. Brother, if you don't help us pass on the message, don't blame us for not informing you in advance if something goes wrong." Chow Hui bribed and threatened the gatekeeper, hoping that the gatekeeper would help them. As long as they could see the Tang governor of Ning, they believed that everything would be easy to handle. After all, the 3 of them were judges now. Plus, they had important things to tell the Tang governor of Ning. Unless the Tang governor didn't care about anything, he would be able to settle them down, change their clothes, prepare some food and wine, and find a place to rest. The gatekeeper hesitated. He really couldn't figure out the identities of the 3 people. The face of the person in front of him was a little dark, but when he handed over the money, his arm was exposed. Even if it was a little dusty, it was still very fair. If they really had something important to tell the provincial governor, he couldn't afford to be punished if he didn't report it. However, if they didn't, it would still be troublesome. Chow Hui also understood the dilemma of the gatekeeper. He suggested, "Brother, you don't have to report this matter to the provincial governor first. Let's find a supervisor first. If it weren't for the fact that we were afraid of losing the seal on the way here, we would have brought the seal with us. Wait here." The gatekeeper thought about it and agreed. He didn't need to go over. He just told the supervisor that the 3 people wanted to see the provincial governor. He just needed to say that the 3 people were sent by Luzhou and asked the supervisor to come over and take a look. After saying that, the gatekeeper signaled the other 3 gatekeepers with his eyes and entered the yamen. Chapter 466. Chow Hui and the others did not dare to leave. They waited, hoping that the steward would come out and say a few words. That way, they would be able to prove their identities. After a long while, the gatekeeper finally came out. Behind him was a man in a small coat with tight sleeves. He looked like a steward and seemed very capable. "Steward Ning, it's the 3 of them. They said they're judges from Luzhou. Please take a look." "Steward Ning, it's me. I'm Chow Hui. We've met twice. The first time, we met when Luzhou was transporting a lot of things and won a lot of money. The second time, We met when your young master was taking a concubine. She happened to be a woman from Lu Zhou's side. We tried to stop her, but we couldn't. Steward Ning, do you remember? When Xiao Hui saw the people who came out, he was overjoyed. He knew them. The 2 times they met were not on good terms. However, they had met before. It was as though he had seen his family. He shouted with all his might. Steward Ning did have an impression of these 2 things, but he was still more than 20 steps away from the 3 people, so he couldn't recognize them at all. He walked forward and carefully looked at them. Only then did he confirm that it was them. He suddenly said, "Oh." Suddenly, he said, "So it's Magistrate Xiao. I wonder why the 3 of you are dressed so elegantly today. The 3 of you are truly respectable. You must have seen the people under your rule suffer and want to know what it feels like. You're doing this on purpose, aren't you?" Steward Ning understood immediately. The 3 of them were in trouble. However, he was not on good terms with Lu Zhou. What did it have to do with him if they were in trouble? He could use this opportunity to ridicule them. "Steward Ning, we were in the wrong in the past, but it's not all our fault. We have the Shun family behind us. We can't afford to offend the Shun family. We were just following orders. We have something important to report to the provincial governor. We can't delay. Otherwise, Lu Zhou will deal with us." Xiao Hui remained silent after being ridiculed. On the other hand, Jiang Huanshi did not care about his reputation anymore. Steward Ning frowned. He was not sure if the 3 of them really had something important to report. However, from the looks of it, the 3 of them did not suffer along the way. How many days would it take for them to travel? After giving it some thought, he asked, "My lords, did the provincial governor order you to come here? Otherwise, you'll be punished if you leave for too long." How could Xiao Hui and the others not know about this? This was especially true for Jiang Huanshi. He was the judicial military supervisor. Naturally, he knew that the 3 of them would not have a good ending when they returned. However, they had no choice but to come here personally. Otherwise, it would be useless to send someone over when there was already a conflict between them. In truth, the 3 of them had already thrown caution to the wind. They had placed their hopes on Tang, Governor Ning. When he heard Steward Ning's question, Jiang Huanshi hastily replied, "We'll definitely be punished when we return. However, we had no choice but to come here. If we don't come, the Ning family will be in danger. To be honest, we have a grudge against Lu Zhou's new provincial governor, Zhang Zhong. We don't want to see him scheme against the Ning family." Only now did Steward Ning understand. As it turned out, the 3 of them were no match for Zhang Zhong. Or rather, there were 4 of them. However, it was strange that one of them was missing. If they couldn't win, they would naturally be dealt with. This was not difficult to understand. He already knew about Zhang Zhong's situation. He was a very powerful person. It wasn't strange for such a young person to become the top scorer. However, he had never heard of anyone who could become the provincial governor, no matter how bad the position was. Looking at the 3 of them, it seemed like they had something that belonged to Zhang Zhong. They wanted to come here in exchange for their safety. This matter had to be decided by the old master. When he thought of this, Steward Ning said to the 3 of them, "This matter concerns too many people. I can't make any arrangements. Why don't the 3 of you enter the mansion from the back? When the old master is free, he'll naturally call the 3 of you over. How's Lu Zhou now? He's amazing. Zhang Zhong used his family's money to pay those commoners so that they could work for him. We can use this to impeach him. That place is prosperous now, and it will be even more prosperous in the future. This place can't be compared to it. Zhang Zhong wants to do the same to Qin province." Jiang Huanshi deliberately said this. The better she treated Lu Zhou, the more unconvinced the people here would be. However, since Steward Ning could be the steward of a provincial governor in such a big family, he was not an ordinary person. When he heard this, he smiled and nodded. Even if Zhang Zhong really took out his family's money, he can't be impeached. The higher-ups know this very well. Since they haven't done anything until now, it means that they don't want to do anything. Lu Zhou is in trouble, and the surrounding provinces are in trouble as well. As long as they can recover quickly, it doesn't matter who pays. When the time comes, they can just change Zhang Zhong's place. Moreover, if Zhang Zhong says that the money doesn't belong to his family and doesn't want it, Who can do anything about it? My 3 lords, you must be tired from the journey. You should quickly enter through the back door. I'll arrange for someone to serve you. I'll go in first. My 3 lords, please hurry. It won't be good if too many people see you. After Steward Ning finished speaking, he turned around and walked in. He walked through the front door, but he did not allow Jiang Huanshi and the others to enter. The 3 of them could not force him. They could only rub the places on their bodies where they were beaten earlier and take a detour to the back door. There were already people waiting for them there. After they entered, Steward Ning did not treat them unfairly. First, they took a bath, changed their clothes, and the dishes were already prepared. The only thing was that there was no one to accompany them. The dishes on the table were not full as well. There were only 8 simple dishes, and there were people pouring wine for them. The 3 of them did not care if the Ning family came to accompany them. They were hungry, and they did not have much energy left. Right now, they just wanted to have a good meal and rest. After drinking a few cups of wine, they began to eat. Each of them ate 2 big bowls, and the 8 dishes on the table were almost finished. Only then did the 3 of them relax and rub their stomachs. Following the servants of the mansion to the guest room, the 3 of them fell asleep immediately. They didn't wake up until the next morning. After breakfast, they just waiting for Governor Ning to find them. They were both expectant and anxious. Tell me, will the Tang governor of Ning help us take the blame for leaving the yamen without permission? Chao Hui sat in the courtyard and looked at the birds jumping back and forth in the trees as he asked the 2 people beside him. Fan Jianxi smacked her lips. I don't think so. Tang governor of Ning will only give us some money after he finds out the news and let us pay off the debt. It's good that we can pay off the debt. At least our families won't have to worry anymore. We could just wait for our bad luck. If that's the case, why don't we think of a way to get Tang governor of Ning to help us this time? Even if we can't move Tang governor of Ning with real things, we can at least do something fake, right? He gave Zhang Zhong a few more profitable things and emphasized Zhang Zhong's plan to deal with Tang governor of Ning. Didn't Zhang Zhong plan to suppress Qinzhou after he got the goods and let the merchants here go to Qinzhou by themselves? Let's not say that. Tang governor of Ning may not necessarily deal with Zhang Zhong. Let's say that Zhang Zhong wants to submit a memorial to impeach Tang governor of Ning for driving the victims away. The evidence is the extra people over there. What do you think? Jiang Huanshi didn't want to go back and pay off the debt only to be convicted. She thought of this idea. When the other 2 heard this, their eyes lit up at the same time. The 3 of them gathered together and had a good discussion. Only then did they come up with a watertight plan to deal with the governor of Ning's inquiry. Under the blue sky and white clouds, a few children were running happily. A big dog ran in front of the crowd for a while, then ran behind the crowd for a while. There were also 2 small dogs swaying their bodies. They were very clumsy. Sometimes they would trip over themselves while running, then roll over and continue running. Exai and air came from the sea. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan wouldn't take her to the sea to play right away. They couldn't go to the mountain now either. They can only do so in 2 days. That will be the next training session. If they let Exai and air follow them, they wouldn't have to worry about encountering any danger. Right now, the only places to play were the 2 rivers and the crops. There was also the cotton plantation that hadn't been harvested yet. Naturally, the 3 dogs would follow them. Exai and air actually didn't care where to play, as long as there was someone to play with her. She especially liked the 2 cute dogs. She liked them no matter how she looked at them. After running for a while, she would hug them for a while. The big dog was very sensible at the side. It didn't make a sound when it saw the child being carried. The group of people walked and walked until they arrived at the cotton plantation. At this time, there were already some well-grown cotton, but there were too few, so they needed to wait a little longer. Cuckoo, have you made the map here? When the time comes, there will be a business tycoon. When we came, there was a person who pretended to be a crew member. He wanted to buy some goods here and sell them elsewhere. He was a very stupid person. After doing business for so many years, he only earned 1,000 strings of coins. Exai and air picked up a ball of cotton wool and touched it back and forth in front of the dog's nose. The dog sneezed from time to time. It wanted to break free but didn't have the strength, so it could only turn its head back and forth. While playing with the dog, Exionnaire said to Wang Wan. Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao already knew about this matter, but there was no way to solve it. Not to mention now that the communication was not smooth. Even if the communication was smooth, they couldn't completely stop people from taking advantage of the company. After all, it was people who did things. Moreover, this kind of thing was not a big deal. If something went wrong, they would hold the person responsible. It was always like this. As long as they strengthened the economic aspect, they would arrange special inspection personnel. They could catch as many as they could. As long as the greedy people were smart enough, they could still be greedy. What Wang Wan didn't expect was that Exionnaire was going to take that person. This kind of person was really useless to the Zhang family. He didn't have the qualifications to cooperate with the Zhang family, and he didn't have the ability to be a subordinate. If they wanted to train him slowly, it was better to find some good people to train. There was no need to find an idiot. Since Exionnaire mentioned it, Wang Wan couldn't refuse. She nodded and said, "Okay, then find a few more people to play with. The place here can be built soon. In fact, we have the map, but the map of the game can't be so detailed. Xiaobao, what do you think?" "I think it's okay. We have to let the children of the people here play. It's easy to build a school, but it's hard to find a teacher. Who wants to come here? Let them play first." Chapter 467. More than 20,000 commoners had just finished harvesting the rice and started planting again. Originally, this was not the right season, but the seeds themselves were different. Furthermore, the weather here had always been good. Now that it was almost winter, it was actually not cold. This made some of the people who had originally followed here feel a little unaccustomed. The new seedlings were naturally made by the Zhang family. They had just planted the seedlings, and before they could release water from the river, a moderate rain fell. These seedlings were naturally able to withstand it, and at the same time, they did not lack water. The commoners did not know that this was a coincidence. They thought that the new good official had moved the heavens, so it rained. Originally, they had nothing else to do and should have continued to build the seawall. However, the cotton here could be picked again. Zhang Xiaobao also told Wang Wan that he wanted to make a cotton harvester. Wang Wan agreed and gave her moral support. As a result, Zhang Xiaobao changed the direction of his research and continued to develop it underwater. If the cotton harvester was easy to make, there would not still be so many places that needed people to pick cotton at that time. According to Zhang Zhong's plan, 3,000 people were assigned to pick the cotton, while the others continued to build the road and replant some of the areas where the trees had been washed away. More people went to build the seawall, preparing to take advantage of the winter when there were fewer disasters to finish the seawall here. Next year, it would be useful. After the first batch of cotton was picked, a big cloth doll was immediately made for Exionnaire. Exionnaire was very happy. She had never played with such a thing before. Usually, other people would use some things, such as wood, to make small people made of wood to curse others. However, this doll was different. It was taller than her, and it was very comfortable to hold in her arms. It had a nose and eyes, which made her think of the value of this kind of cloth doll when she was happy. Perhaps many people liked it, especially a little girl like her. If she was in a large family, the maidservants would also have to wait on her in the outer room when she slept at night, and the boudoir would be very cold and cheerless. If he had these dolls, it would be even better to hold them in his arms at night. These dolls were specially made for the children of the rich. Therefore, Exionnaire went to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan to discuss the purchase of such cloth and cotton. However, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan didn't think that the value of this thing would be greater than what they had originally thought. They wanted to use this cotton to make clothes, especially cotton-padded jackets. In fact, it was just a vest without sleeves. Real cotton-padded clothes would not be made. Firstly, it was a waste of materials. Secondly, it would look too bulky on the body, especially cotton-padded trousers. After it was made thick, it would be very difficult to put it on or take it off. In addition to this cotton vest, it could also be used to make cotton-padded shoes. When the time came, it would be shipped to the north to be sold, and a part of it would be sent out. Li Sun would also have a part of the profits. When Li Sun came over, they had agreed that he would help to keep it a secret for a year. The main thing to keep secret was the flower arranging machine. Although the structure of this thing was simple and easy to operate, ordinary people would never think that this thing could take out the seeds in the stack of white cotton. After it was taken out, the seeds could be used to extract oil. No one ate it, but it could be used to light up the house. It wasn't that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan didn't know that cottonseed oil could be eaten, but they didn't have the technology. Without technology, the two of them never dared to try some new food, as it was easy to eat something bad. Li Sun had been thinking about this for a long time. This year he was waiting. He was waiting for the people who had also received last year's cotton gifts to hand over the cotton to exchange for the flower arranging machine. This was the result of the discussion later. Those people had actually already planted the cotton and were waiting for the technology. However, the Zhang family didn't want to give up and handed this matter to Li Sun to handle. The others could only think of a way behind the scenes. In the end, Zhang Zhong ran to such a remote place, so those who were ready to make a move could only wait foolishly. They were waiting to use a part of the white cotton to exchange for the technology. At most, they wouldn't make money this year. They could still wait for a year. Li Sun had already spread the news that he would tell them after he made some improvements. In fact, he had indeed made a lot of improvements. Previously, they used to shake the cotton by hand, but now they had changed it to using wind and water. It was very simple to make a big windmill and a water wheel. The Zhang family had the technology to do so. Those who wanted to get their hands on such things could only wait for this winter. They would take out a large part of the white cotton and exchange it for something to remove the seeds. It wasn't that they didn't want to use other methods. For example, there were so many princes, but the princes themselves couldn't make a move. Li Sun's father was also a prince. The current emperor had always emphasized the deep brotherhood. Who didn't have deep connections? The other aristocratic families had too many considerations. For one, Zhang Zhong had run to Luzhou, and it was beyond their reach. Therefore, no aristocratic family would be stupid enough to deal with his foundation, which was Sanshui County. They had investigated Zhang Zhong thoroughly. They had a very detailed understanding of what the Zhang family and Wang family were doing. They also knew that there were two experts in the Zhang family who had never shown their faces. Therefore, the Zhang family was always able to come up with new things. Some were profitable, and some were useful for military purposes. If they really wanted to deal with Sanshui County, the Zhang family only needed to take out a few good things and say that they were looking for others to help them take revenge. Then the people who did it would be attacked by many forces. The benefits would be given to others for free. The aristocratic families never doubted this. If they were in Sanshui County, they would also do the same. The only person who could control the Zhang family was the emperor. However, when the emperor was with the Zhang family, his attitude was very ambiguous. It was unknown whether it was because he liked the endless things of the Zhang family or because he liked Zhang Zhong as a person. Basically, he would not mention him in the court. When others mentioned him, he would use other topics to change the topic. He just didn't want the court officials to focus on Zhang Zhong. In this way, it was difficult for others. Li Sun had received many letters recently. Some of them were from the military station, and some were from the official station. All the letters said the same thing, that the white cotton was ready, and it was time to exchange for that technology. Li Sun couldn't take it all by himself. He could only cooperate with the Zhang family. Otherwise, the Zhang family would avoid him next time. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan would also not play with him. Under such circumstances, Li Sun, Zhang Xiaobao, Wang Wan, and Idyll gathered together. The four of them, who were not yet adults, began to discuss the use of the cotton. Idyll insisted on joining in the fun. Usually, outsiders were not allowed to join in this kind of thing. However, the old man had been helping them, and the mutual benefits had been mixed together. Idyll had also obtained the qualification to play the top game. Wang Wan wanted to train her before she agreed. I still want to make cloth dolls. I believe that they can be sold at a good price. I thought of a few kinds of cloth dolls. Some are cute, some are ugly, and the ugly kind of eyes should be embroidered to make them look very wronged. When Air found out that there were many kinds of things that could be used to make cloth dolls, she was very insistent on her idea. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan originally disagreed. However, when they heard Air's last design, they nodded at the same time. Li Sun, however, did not understand. He asked in confusion, "It's fine to make cloth dolls, but why do you want to make them ugly? Can't they be cute?" "No, if that's the case, some people won't buy them. Only those who are like little princesses will buy those cute ones. Some people are ugly. They will think that they're the ugly cloth dolls that need other people's care and care. If they have an ugly cloth doll, they will be stronger. Only by becoming stronger and stronger will they be able to protect the cloth dolls that are uglier than them. I have already thought about this. I will ask someone to draw a picture book with different colors like cuckoo. Below the picture book will be a short story. It will be specially made for the children to read. First, it will make them more willing to learn to read. Second, it will motivate them. I think that as long as it is printed well and printed in different colors, not only will the children be willing to buy it, but the elders in the family will also buy it for the younger generation. After all, it is a determined thing. If the picture book and the cloth dolls are combined together, it will sell very well. When we make a new type of cloth doll, we can design some stories specifically for this type of cloth doll. We can also put several cloth dolls into one story. This is a combination. When the time comes, besides the cloth dolls, we can also sell other things. For example, some toys for playing house. We can engrave various kinds of cloth doll patterns on them. Whoever has a cloth doll will buy the toy with the pattern. Air began to explain at the side. The more she spoke, the more ideas she had. In the end, she actually came up with a system. Li Sun's mouth was wide open and Wei Wei couldn't close it. He had never thought that a discussion about cotton would lead to such a big deal. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were also shocked. It wasn't that they didn't know about such a strategy. This kind of thing was not just a tactic in business, but a strategy. If either of them were in Air's shoes, they could also come up with it. It wasn't a big deal. However, it was different when it came to Air. Air didn't have the same kind of experience as them. She came up with this based on her own ideas. This was definitely not ordinary. Some people succeeded because they worked hard, and some are geniuses. However, if geniuses worked hard, they would definitely be better than ordinary people. In the past, the two of them only thought that Air was smarter because she learned more things from the old man. Now it seemed that it wasn't the case at all. The old man definitely wouldn't think of this. Would the old man think of something like a cloth doll? Okay, I agree. Then this matter will be managed by Sister Air. Sister Air, after you do this well, you'll get 10% of the money earned. We will share the remaining 30% with young Master Li. After all, we provided the technology and materials. Wang Wan immediately agreed. She didn't care about losing money or making money. She just wanted to cultivate Air. The most important thing was not the cotton she paid this year, but to get a talent. She was so young and had such a plan. If she grew up, no one dared to think about it. Li Sun also reacted at this time and said, "Is it just a game? Then starting tomorrow, I will also play. You have to play with me. Don't give in to me." "Who will give in to you? You haven't been conferred a territory yet. Do you really think you are Marquis? Don't think that you can be as good as Sister Air just because you play. Some people need a chance to understand themselves. Sister Air is like that." Wang Wan saw that Li Sun was thinking too simply, so she said bluntly. She and Zhang Xiaobao didn't have any respect for Li Sun now. In fact, they didn't have any respect at all. They just thought that Li Sun was a person who would easily cause trouble. Now, they didn't. Li Sun didn't have any thoughts of being angry. He also knew his identity. Saying that he was a member of the royal family was not the most important thing. Saying that he wasn't. He had to always know that he couldn't lose face for the royal family. It was a very depressing position. He was very lucky to have two friends like Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. After hearing Wang Wan's words, he rolled his eyes and asked, "Don't many people lack such an opportunity? Do you think that as long as they're given an opportunity that suits them, they will become powerful? I think Air is very powerful." At this time, Zhang Xiaobao spoke. "Yes, that's right. Everyone is actually a genius. Since they were born, they were faced with opportunities again and again. However, many people have lost the opportunity to come in contact with such opportunities. For example, some people who are born blind are usually more powerful in other aspects. Heaven is always fair. When you lose something, it will always make up for it in other aspects. However, we can't provide everyone with a comprehensive opportunity to test geniuses. We can't find those methods, and we can't judge. My family has a method, but that method is not comprehensive. Fair? Comparing the children of aristocratic families to the children of ordinary families is fair? Li Sun had become a commoner's marquis. He refuted Zhang Xiaobao's words. How are aristocratic families formed? They can't be aristocratic families from the beginning, right? That's the hard work of their ancestors. When other people's ancestors were working hard, what were other people's ancestors doing? In the same place, other people can grow better crops. If you can't grow well, can you complain that other people shouldn't? Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had talked about this topic before. Don't complain about others. If you think that others are good, then work hard to fight for it yourself. Li Sun didn't say anything. He knew how his family's wealth came about. Indeed, as Zhang Xiaobao said, if his ancestors didn't defeat other people, how could it be the Tang dynasty? Li Sun nodded, agreeing with Zhang Xiaobao's words. He changed the topic again. Now, let's talk about the uses of cotton. As he spoke, he looked at Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. He felt that the two masters of the Zhang family had taught Xiaobao and Cuckoo. Although bedding and clothes were taken out last year, that was definitely not all the uses of cotton. For example, Xi and Air mentioned a new use today. There should be more. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan couldn't tell him all the uses of cotton. There were too many. It seemed that it could be used in all kinds of aspects and all kinds of industries. After thinking about it, Zhang Xiaobao said, in fact, this thing is also good at fireproofing. As long as it is thick and strong enough, it will be more fireproof than silk clothes. It can be used to make clothes specially prepared for people who put out fires. It's also warm. In summer, people who sell ice cream also sell popsicles, especially popsicles. As long as you make a box, put the popsicles in it and wrap it with a thick quilt, it can be stored for a while. Also, this thing can be used as a big firecracker in a specific environment. It can be so big that it can blow up many people at the same time. Only Wang Wan understood the last thing Zhang Xiaobao said, which was dust explosion. Of course, she would look up more books and ask people to find more things. If nitrocellulose could be made in the future, then it could really become a big firecracker. Li Sun didn't know much about it, but he had a general idea. He said, in other words, cotton can only be used to keep warm and cold, right? Another thing is to make cloth dolls. Okay, then we will start with these two aspects. When there are other uses in the future, we will slowly take it out. Li Sun was not stupid. He knew that once these things were taken out, others would learn to make them. Those who said that they would use cotton to exchange for technology would not take out the most cotton. It was nothing more than a lie. So, what they could do was to not let them know about the many uses of cotton and let them make the quilt. How much cotton did a quilt need? How much did a cloth doll need? It was very simple. The most important thing was to make the most money with the least things. The four of them discussed for a while. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were responsible for making gloves, hats, waistcoats, and other things at home. Li Sun took the job of making cotton shoes. Xi and Air was naturally in charge of the cloth doll. 10% of the profit was already a lot for her. Otherwise, other people would not work with her. She did not have cotton anyway. As for the quilt, mattress, and other things, only a small part was made. They were not to be sold, but to be given away. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were also preparing to compress the cotton and finally make a thick blanket. This thing was not to make money. It was too humid here, especially when often rained. The two of them were going to put this thing in the mezzanine of the house to absorb the moisture. After absorbing enough, they would put it in the sun or wash it. When it was soft, they would continue to put it in the mezzanine. Even if it was used too many times, they could still use it for other purposes. It was not to make black cotton, but to make paper. No matter how bad the cotton was, the paper made was better than the usual paper. With a little bit of lime, perhaps the paper made could be written with a pencil. It was not that the two of them did not know how to use a writing brush, but a writing brush had its own limitations. It was very inconvenient to carry around. It was easier to use a pencil. They only had to carry a small notebook with them. When they encountered something to write down, they could take out the pencil at any time and write it down. If they were to use a writing brush, they would at least need ink and water. They could use saliva to write a few words, but not enough saliva to write a few hundred words. The two of them used the cotton as much as possible, especially in terms of enjoyment at home. Other than blankets, there were also cotton blankets. The main thing was that the cotton could be used to make fishing nets. It should be good to mix it with hemp, and it should be stronger than the current nets. The four of them had a small meeting, and then they went to do their own things. Li Sun and Xian Air were busy with simple things. Xian Air was mainly painting. She had ideas, but the painting was not very good. The main thing was that the painting method was different. She was learning Wang Wan's painting method. If she had not met Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, she would have felt very lonely. She was not yet 10 years old, and none of the children around her age could understand her. Other people could not understand what she said, and the adults who could understand would not play with her. After she returned to the place arranged for her family, she called some of the people in her family over, mainly the servants. She told them about this matter and asked them to help think of ideas on what kind of cloth dolls to make that would be liked by other children. But a day had passed, and the servants did not have any suggestions at all. If they had to say that they had suggestions, they would advise her not to do it. Xian Air suddenly felt that everyone was very far away from her. Just like the lyrics of the song Wang Wan usually sang, she saw the distance. She stood in the clouds, but she found that there was no one around her. She was alone. Fortunately, Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao were still there. The two of them came up with some ideas. Wang Wan drew several kinds of cartoon perspective figures from cartoons and sent them over. When Xian Air saw those cute little animals, she was happy. She felt that she was not so lonely anymore. There were people like her. In fact, she did not know that this was the suggestion of Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao was very familiar with this aspect. He knew that no one could help her after she came back, because those people were not good enough. So he discussed with Wang Wan and sent some drawings. He believed that those drawings would soon become real objects. In fact, this was the most vulnerable part of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's hearts. If one came here alone, no one could understand, and they could not tell everything to others. That kind of loneliness was the most terrible. It was like at night, there were many people around, but one person had to carry a lantern and walk alone. Xian Air began to think according to the drawings drawn by Wang Wan. She also drew the things that she thought of. She was very busy. Li Sun was not relaxed. On one hand, he had to provide some technology to those people. On the other hand, he had to keep the good technology. Through improvement, the efficiency of the flower stringing machine could be improved. Naturally, this could not be handed over to others. In addition to these two things, he had to try his best to get those who wanted to take advantage of the situation to hand over the benefits. For example, they wanted more cotton. If they could not get this, then he had to let those people compensate in other ways. There were many ways to compensate. Giving money was one way. Li Sun did not want this. He was not sure of money. Now that he was doing business with the Zhang family, it could be said that he now had the most money among his peers. Even the crown prince could not compare. Fortunately, his status was clear. If others dared to scheme against him, as long as he did not get involved in politics, there would be no danger. Another way was to help put in a good word for Zhang Zhong. This was very important. If everyone agreed, even if someone wanted to scheme against Zhang Zhong, they would have to think twice. Another way was that some people had other businesses in their family and did not allow others to join them. This time, he could join them. If he joined, it would mean that the Zhang family and the Wang family would join as well. As long as there was a little gap, Li Sun did not have to worry. He believed that with the experts of the Zhang family, the gap would soon become bigger. Xian Air and Li Sun were indeed busy. However, the people who were really busy were Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. They had too many things to do. First was the matter of the sea. The two of them would not only focus on Luzhou. The reason they came to this place was so that Zhang Zhong could get more political achievements. Another reason was that the bay here was really useful. The two of them were preparing to build a bigger boat and go to further places to get some things that they didn't have here. As long as it was good stuff from Southeast Asia, the two of them wanted it all, especially coconuts. When they came here, they actually didn't have them. It looked like a species, but it had many uses. It could be used for many things. There was also a kind of honey. That kind of honey was different from other places. It could be used as a very good medicine. In other words, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan wanted to get everything that was not available here. In this way, the construction of a dock had to be put on the agenda. The most important thing was the technology. The two of them knew how the sea breeze blew, and they were not unfamiliar with the flow of the tide. However, without an iron ship, it would be very risky to go to sea. It was easy to talk about a wooden ship, but when it was really made, they had to choose good wood from the 100,000 mountains. Especially the mast, it was a big piece of wood. It could not be pieced together. If they encountered a dangerous storm, they would have to cut the mast. Why were many captains reluctant to do so? It was because this piece of wood was too difficult to find. In addition to the matter of the dock, there was also the matter of the local infrastructure. It seemed that the construction was almost done, but in fact, it was far from enough. The two of them planned to build roads in Luzhou that extended in all directions. There could be fields or villages on both sides of the roads, but the roads had to be divided into sections. The surrounding trees could not be less to prevent soil erosion. As for the future, it would depend on what the new provincial governor thought. However, as long as they built the necessary infrastructure, the next provincial governor would not change, especially when the Chamber of Commerce was still here. This infrastructure required planning. Fortunately, the land here was big and the population was small. Every family could live in the bamboo buildings above the ground. They could also build a big courtyard for each family. Zhang Xiaobao wanted to gather all the homework together. They could plant rice, vegetables, and cotton together. Wang Wan had the same idea. The two of them already knew too many things. They did not want to let this place suffer while they were still in control. This was the planning of a province. The two of them had never come into contact with such things. To be precise, Wang Wan did not know anything. Planning was not her field. Zhang Xiaobao knew a little about it. Even though he had never really planned a city properly, he had cheated before. When a liar did not want to continue lying, he would still know the pros and cons. This was one thing. There was also the conspiracy that they would face. Even though Zhang Xiaobao was used to conspiracies, he had to think about it. He hoped very much that there were no conspiracies in this world. That way, he would not have to waste his energy. However, this was definitely a dream. Where there were living things, there would be benefits. When there were benefits, there would be competition. In the process of competition, all kinds of methods would be used. Just like what was said before, without darkness, there would be no light. Zhang Xiaobao was planning for any possible situation and divided it into several steps. There were defenses, roping in, counterattacks, and deterrence. All of them had to be considered in advance. Otherwise, he would be flustered when the time came. Wang Wan could not help much with these plans. She could only focus on organizing people. In fact, the provincial government did not have any military forces. All the people who could fight were the guards of the two families and Li Sun's people. This was very unreasonable. Without soldiers, how could they go out to explore in the future? When Wang Wan saw that there were more people now, 3 times the original number, she wanted to recruit soldiers. This money had to be paid by the provincial government and not by the Zhang family or the Wang family. The Tang dynasty had not reached that stage yet and could not openly raise private soldiers. The current military system was good and could be directly recruited. However, the strength of the recruited soldiers was hard to say. Wang Wan wanted to use the provincial government's name to recruit people. Then, she and Zhang Xiaobao would pay for the welfare. When it was time to leave, she would take these people away, just like the previous provincial governor. This was very simple. She just had to dismiss the recruited people and let them join the fleet. Then, she would find a few new people. Anyway, this was how it was here. If the new provincial governor was willing to find people himself, then he could find them. The original people could not be given to him. Then, Wang Wan would make some training plans. At the same time, she would wait for Zhang Xiaobao's side to get more money. The provincial government still had some money now. The four people did things flawlessly and matched the money in the treasury. It was indeed very impressive. Wang Wan was busy with the recruitment and training plans. This training plan was different from the one for protecting the Seedlings Zero team. This was to train a special force. Quality was more important than quantity. In addition to these matters, there was also the selection of cotton seeds and rice seeds. The selection of rice seeds was not just about the same, but had many people look for them one by one. Although it took a lot of time, the probability of finding a good rice seed increased. Although the rice had been planted, these rice seeds were not the special seeds that had been selected. The special seeds naturally had their own characteristics. One was that they matured first, and the other was that they did not have a high yield. These selected seeds would be planted later. There was also the selection of cotton seeds. This kind of seed could not be pierced with a flower-piercing machine. That would cause damage. While the four of them were busy, the Ning clan's fleet arrived. There were only 2 ships, and no one knew what they had encountered on the way. In any case, the masts had been lowered, and they were completely relying on manpower to row. There was not a single sail to be seen. Zhang Xiaobao was not a good person, especially after the other party bullied him first. He would not let them go easily. The 2 ships were planning to enter this bay and then return to Qinzhou through Qinjiang. Unfortunately, when the 2 ships appeared outside the bay, the other side was ready. Li Sun sent 100 of his guards, and the Zhang family's team of protecting the seedlings also went over. When the 2 ships were about to reach the dock, they were about to pass by the side. There were already 4 large ships waiting to load and leave, blocking the road. Before they left, they could still make a contribution. Young master, it's not good. They won't let us pass. They used 4 ships to block the road. When the steward saw the situation, he quickly ran to the cabin and reported to his young master. Young Master Ning was calculating how much money he could make this time. When the steward rushed in, he forgot the numbers. He looked at the steward unhappily and said, "How big are 4 ships? How could they block the road? The road over there should be very wide, right? Can't we just go around it? You can't even do this well. When we came over, you said that we were following that special ship. Look at it now. They are fine, but we encountered storm. If we had known this would happen, we would have stopped more. Who knows how much money it would cost to repair these 2 ships? Did you see clearly that the Zhang family's ship is blocking the road? Their courage is not small. They actually dare to block my Ning family's ship. Did they see the people on the dock? Is Zhang Zhong here?" The steward was a little confused by young master's words. He shook his head and said, "Young master, there are only people working at the dock. Zhang Zhong isn't here. If Zhang Zhong is here, he will definitely bring a carriage. It seems that Zhang Zhong doesn't take us seriously. Young master, don't think of using the Ning family's power to pressure him. As for that ship, under normal circumstances, 4 ships wouldn't be able to block it. However, the 4 ships aren't close to each other. They're separated and connected to each other by iron chains. If our ship wants to go over, we'll have to fly or dive into the water. By doing this, it's obvious that they know we're coming." The steward was very depressed. Why couldn't young master see the situation clearly at a time like this? The other party was taking revenge. Who asked Lu Zhou to accept so much money from Qin province when he shipped goods out? Do you think that if you accept money from others, they won't accept yours? Young Master Ning was stunned. He didn't expect to be stopped this time. Needless to say, he knew that the other party was going to collect a toll, just like what they did to him in the past. However, he didn't want to pay. The Ning family was a big family. It was normal for them to collect tolls from others. In his eyes, Zhang Zhong was nothing. Why should he pay Lu Zhou? With this thought in mind, young Master Ning ordered, "Stop the ship, turn around, and go back to the shore at Lianzhou. I'd rather spend more money on land transportation than give Zhang Zhong a single copper coin. You should learn more in the future. Don't panic when you encounter a problem." At this time, the steward didn't know what to say. When he came here, he said that when he was in Lianzhou, He suggested to dock at the shore nearby and send the things on the ship there. Then, he would find someone to repair the ship. However, young Master Ning said that he didn't know how to do it and that he didn't think it through thoroughly enough. He said that he should learn more in the future. But now, didn't he still have to do as he said? Again, he was told that all the wise decisions were young Master Ning's, and he had to take the blame for the bad things. The steward was very depressed, but he didn't dare to refute. He could only agree and said, "Young master, then I'll arrange it this way. But I don't think the Zhang family will let us go easily." "Not let us go? What does Zhang Zhong want to do? Does he dare? Don't you think more when you do things? Does Zhang Zhong dare? Can't we just go? Can't we leave? You should learn more in the future. Why are you so stupid?" Young Master Ning's face darkened and continued to scold the steward. The steward quickly nodded and said, "You're right, young master. I will learn more in the future. I won't lose face for young master." After saying that, the steward left to arrange the docking of the ship. However, after a while, the steward came back and once again changed young Master Ning's plan. "Young master, they sent a lot of small boats to block the road behind us. Moreover, those boats also threw out a lot of fishing nets. If we want to force our way through, our oars will be entangled. Young master, what should we do?" The steward wanted to mention what he said just now to prove that he wasn't wrong, but he didn't dare. He could only repeat what he encountered. The road back is also blocked. Let's go there and see what they want." Young Master Ning finally couldn't sit still. He didn't think about how much money he could make. When they reached the deck, young Master Ning stood at the bow and looked down. Sure enough, as the steward said, there were a lot of small boats with fishing nets. The people on the boats also stood there and looked at them. He turned his head and looked to the other side. There were indeed 4 big boats anchored there, connected to each other by iron chains. "Which one of you is in charge of this? Stand up and answer this, young master. Do you know what 2 boats are? They belong to the Ning family. They belong to the Ning family of Qinzhou. What are you doing here? Are you rebelling?" Young Master Ning still had the bearing of an aristocratic family. He stood at the bow and questioned the people below. In the past, not to mention stopping them, the people here would have respectfully escorted the 2 boats to the estuary of Qinzhou River. However, things are different now. On one of the boats below, a person said loudly, "I am a 5-star steward of the Zhang family. I don't know anything about the Ning family. I only know that this is Lu Zhou. All boats and vehicles that don't belong to Lu Zhou must be inspected. If there is nothing on the boat that can be used as goods, you just need to pay a toll fee. If there is something that can be used as goods, you must pay a toll fee. Put down the rope ladder. We will go up and take a look." "How dare you? You dare to check the Ning family's boat? I will make you die without a burial place. Do you believe it or not? Where is your Zhang Zhong? Tell him to come and see me. Let's see if he has the guts to check the Ning family's boat." Young Master Ning had never been bullied like this before. If he wanted money, he might have given a few strings of coins. However, the people below actually wanted to check the boat. If they really came up, where would the Ning family's face go? In fact, he wanted to see Zhang Zhong. When the time came, it would be easier to talk. After all, both sides were provincial governors. He had to give them some face. That was why he said that. At the same time, he also wanted to scare the people below. He was afraid that those people would directly rush up. Even if he didn't put down the rope ladder, they would still have a way. They could just throw a rope up. If they dared to cut the rope, the person with the crossbow next to them would very likely attack. This was not something he wanted to see. What if the other party was cornered and fired a fire arrow? He just wanted to see Zhang Zhong, who knew that the people below wouldn't give him the chance. It was the same person who spoke just now. He said to him, "Do you think you can see the master just because you want to? Are you going to put down the rope ladder or not? If not, we will go up ourselves. If there is resistance, kill. Come on, let's go up." The person said to young Master Ning and ordered the others to get on the boat. As soon as he finished speaking, ropes with hooks were thrown up and hung on the side of the boat. Immediately, people climbed up along the ropes. "What should we do, young master? Should we cut the ropes? Otherwise, if they come up, we may not be able to keep the things here." Seeing this situation, the steward hurriedly asked for young Master Ning's opinion. Young Master Ning felt that this trip had not been easy. Previously, they met the former minister, but the boat was damaged. After they repaired it, they encountered a storm. Now that they finally came here, they were stopped again. He was angry. Hearing the steward's question, he said with dissatisfaction, "Are you an idiot? There's so many ropes. Can you cut them all? What if the people below attack? At first, we said to stop at Lianzhou, but you insisted on coming here. Now that we are here, I said that someone is stopping us, but you didn't believe me and insisted on turning around. What about now? I'll punish you when we get back." Hearing this, the steward understood everything. Young Master Ning had prepared for the worst. When the time came, he would have to take the blame. Since that was the case, he could only take the blame. If he helped young Master Ning take the blame, young Master Ning might help him. If he didn't, young Master Ning would be punished, and he would be punished more severely. The steward, who thought things through in an instant, immediately said, "Young Master Ning is right. It's my fault. I should have listened to you. Young Master Ning, why don't you have a rest in the cabin first? I'll deal with the things here." Even if they want to investigate, they can't investigate you, right? Seeing that the steward was so understanding, young Master Ning nodded with satisfaction and turned back to the cabin. In this way, even if something was taken away, it could be said that the steward was weak. Such a steward should be protected. Who knew if he would encounter something difficult to deal with in the future? With such a steward, young Master Ning was less worried. After young Master Ning went back, the steward found a few people to stand on the deck and wait. After a few seconds, people all around the boat climbed up. The steward greeted them and said, "This is the Ning family's boat. You have to think about it carefully. What will happen after you really investigate? Zhang Zhong can protect himself and his family, but do you think he can protect you too? When the time comes, don't blame the Ning family for turning against you." The manager deliberately emphasized the severity of the consequences in hopes of scaring these people. His reason was indeed correct. No one would protect a real soldier. As such, he believed that these people would casually say that there was no goods when they checked. There were only people, and they could be let go after paying a small sum of money. In this way, although they would lose face, they would get the money and it would be easy to go back. As for the matter of face, it would naturally be taken care of by the Ning family. Who would have thought that as soon as he finished speaking, the person opposite him burst out laughing. The other people who came up also laughed. After a while, the person stopped laughing and said, "We are the guards of the prince's mansion. When did we need Governor Zhang to protect us? Hurry up and open all the cabin doors." As the person spoke, he grabbed the steward's arm. With just a little force, the steward felt that his bones were about to break. He endured the pain and said, "Which mansion are you guards from?" "This is Lu Zhou. No matter which mansion you are from, you can't interfere with our business. We are guards from the Prince Ning's mansion. We brought the little prince here to recuperate. Governor Zhang has rented this place to our young master. Do you think we can't interfere with your business? Men, search this place for me. Take out everything and drag out everyone. If anyone dares to resist, kill them." The guards of the prince's mansion weren't afraid of the Ning family at all. The Ning family wanted to retaliate against them, and retaliate against the people here were two different things. They just obeyed the orders of the guards. Following the orders of the guards, the surrounding people quickly started to search. This time, their harvest was huge. There were 2 ships. One of them was filled with food and a small portion of goods. The other ship was filled with goods. Naturally, these things could not be left behind for the Ning family. According to the situation where the Ning family intercepted the goods in Qin province, they should leave some things for them so that they would not suffer a loss. However, Zhang Xiaobao did not think so. They were the ones who made the first move. Why should he follow the rules of others? Since the people in Qin province dared to withhold the money, he would leave all the goods behind. Even the food was only left behind for the other party so that they could return alive. Zhang Xiaobao had always been like this. If you scolded me, I would give you a stab. I would never wait for you to slap me and only return the favor. If you felt that you couldn't take the stab, then you just have to be scolded. Zhang Xiaobao's character had already infected the people of the Zhang family and the Wang family. In fact, Wang Wan's character was also like this. She was originally from a family that appeared later on. If there were no benefits, she would never take the initiative to provoke others. However, once someone provoked her, she would never give the opponent a chance to turn the tables. Li Sun was even more so. As a result, the guards of the prince's mansion had been in contact with the Zhang family and the Wang family for a long time. Their characters were not very good either. They were all like fierce gods. They dragged everyone onto the deck, including young Master Ning. They also took away the goods. They did not even let go of the sails that had fallen during the storm. After searching for a while, the people on the 2 ships disembarked one after another. They greeted the 4 ships in front of them, and the iron chains on those ships were released. You're from the Ning family, right? You can leave now. Remember to consider the consequences before you do anything in the future. The prince's mansion's guard warned them again before they disembarked. This is too much. This is too much. Do they really think that I'm that easy to bully? Do they think that the Ning family can be bullied just because they want to? Let's go back quickly. When we reach home, I'll see what they can do. Chapter 468. The construction of Luzhou's infrastructure was still going on, so there were not many people harvesting cotton. Moreover, the cotton was not something that could be harvested in a day. The common people did not have much time to do their own things, so they were constantly following the notice. Luzhou's small merchant's business was affected. When the common people were busy, they did not even have time to go home. Naturally, the merchants could not have so many customers. Fortunately, these merchants had joined their respective chambers of commerce. At this time, the chambers of commerce's main customers were from the surrounding provinces. These customers even included smugglers who secretly came from Qin province. Zhang Xiaobao was still thinking about the diving. He knew that it was impossible to have oxygen tanks in terms of equipment, but he wanted to think about other aspects, especially the nail incense. In fact, it was a kind of shellfish. If it was when he and Wang Wan came here, they could already be artificially raised. Coupled with the conditions of mining, it was not that valuable. However, it was different now. They could only rely on people to swim underwater and get the nail incense from the cracks of the reefs. It was too dangerous. Therefore, the value of nail incense had increased infinitely. Li Sun was also thinking about a solution. He did not know if this was something that Zhang Xiaobao should consider himself or the expert behind the Zhang family should consider. In any case, he wanted to help them. If they came up with a solution, they might be able to gain the expert's favor. He regarded this as a test for Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan by the expert behind the Zhang family. Can we train a group of people to go underwater more often? That way, we can get more nail incense? Li Sun thought for a full hour before he proposed his idea. Wang Wan glanced at him and said nothing. Zhang Xiaobao said, people who can catch fish with their bare hands in the Yellow River are trained from a young age. However, there are still people who will die, and many of them will die. The sea is not calm. You don't know when the undercurrent will come. Without any protection, the undercurrent can kill people. Li Sun really did not know about this. He only learned about it a few days ago. The surface of the sea looked very calm, but it was not necessarily so under the water. The temperature under the water was different. If one could hold his breath on the shore, he could hold it for 50 breaths. If one put his head in the basin, he could hold it for 40 breaths at most. However, the deeper he went under the water, the shorter the time would be. Under normal circumstances, one could go down to a depth of 100 feet. However, if there was an undercurrent at that time, it was not just a matter of whether one could hold it or not. It was very likely that one would die in the water. At this moment, seeing that Zhang Xiaobao was drawing something on the blackboard with chalk, he complained, then the nail incense that the people here hand in is exchanged with their lives. It can be used as incense and medicinal materials. It's okay to use it as medicinal materials. After all, it is used to save people. However, there is no need to use nail incense for incense, right? When those rich and powerful people are enjoying life, don't they know that these things are exchanged with their lives? No, I have to write a letter to my father and tell him not to use nail incense in the future. There are also some other people. Li Sun, who wanted to be a commoner, finally could not bear the enjoyment of exchanging lives. He went to the table and prepared to write a letter. Zhang Xiaobao had just finished drawing a rough picture. When he heard Li Sun's words, he stopped and said, "It has nothing to do with whether other people use nail incense or not. When collecting rent, nail incense can replace a lot of rent. The people are willing to go down to collect shells, not forced by others. For the sake of wealth, for the sake of a better life, and for the sake of future generations, they wanted to accumulate some money. A single jiaxiang could cover a lot of rent. They were also doing it for themselves. Otherwise, they could just call it rent. They had that kind of craftsmanship. If others didn't use it, would they continue to pay rent? If you want to help them, it is not to let others not use nail incense, but to raise the price of nail incense. There is land to rent, and there is fishing. If a small amount of nail incense can replace a year's rent, then their risk is worth it. Yes, you can't let others lose the opportunity to be rich just because their lives are in danger. Some people buy nail incense, not because they are sinners, but because they need it. Wang Wan spoke at this time. She also agreed to let others continue to collect nail incense. This could be said to be a speculative business. As long as one wanted to be rich, they had to be prepared to bear the danger. One of the poems she hated most was Min Nomi. She did not care about other times, but she had learned this poem when she was young. At that time, she did not understand. What did it have to do with farmers when she spent money to buy things? It was a kind of income from her own family's labor. If one really thought about the difficulties of food, one should not think about the dripping of sweat, but the hard work of one's own family. Unless the food was planted by the farmer and given to them for free, then they should cherish the farmer's hard work. The food that was thrown away was not cherishing the fruits of one's own or family's labor. It had nothing to do with the farmer at all. If the farmer surnamed Zhang did not farm, then Li would. If they did not farm, then there would be a shortage of food, and the price would go up. Naturally, there would be people who would farm. Minomi was not bad. It showed that the farmers had to pay too much tax on the food they grew, and the price of the food was cheap. This system was not right. It was too exploitative. Therefore, Wang Wan did not think that there was anything wrong with others risking their lives to collect nail incense. You could choose not to do it. Wasn't it all for the sake of profit? It was just that the value of the profit was small. As Xiao Bao said, the price of nail incense should be raised. Li Sun was momentarily at a loss for words. The shock he received was a little too great. He clearly knew that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, as well as the two families, took great care of the commoners and were willing to give them a good life. But how could they watch people die for the sake of obtaining jiaxiang without doing anything? Li Sun was lost in thought. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan did not care about him. This kind of thing could not be explained clearly in a sentence. If they really wanted Li Sun to understand, they had to explain it from the perspective of demand and purchasing power. They even had to analyze the form of society, the relationship between productivity and production, and human nature. It was too complicated. If Li Sun were to explain to him that this world was a world of benefits, then he would definitely ask why so many people were willing to help others. This would involve the benefits on a spiritual level. Helping others was not selfless. It was also a type of selfishness in order to obtain spiritual benefits. Of course, this kind of selfishness to oneself was selflessness to others. But there were too many things that needed to be explained. It was already a profound philosophy. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan did not have so much energy to explain to Li Sun. The two of them finally found a new way. To be precise, it was an idea. The picture that Zhang Xiaobao drew on the blackboard with chalk was actually a round sphere made of iron. There was glass in one place, which was transparent glass. This thing was called that here. It was not a real glass. After all, the formula was different. According to the water pressure, as long as it did not dive too deep, there would be no problem at all. It was very easy to dive down to 100 meters. It was impossible to crush it. The inside of the sphere could be illuminated with mirrors and candles. There was no need to illuminate too far. There were too many nail incense underwater here. Without high-tech mining technology, they could find a lot of nail incense diving more than 10 meters in the water, let alone 100 meters deep. The only thing to solve was the problem of sealing. As for the oxygen, there was no need to worry. with candles, including the breathing needs of people. A sphere with a diameter of 2 meters was absolutely no problem for a few hours. Besides, it did not need to take so long. Once an hour would be enough. Zhang Xiaobao was going to use bearings to seal it. In other words, the people inside could complete the collection of nail incense by manually controlling the mechanical arm. Wang Wan opposed. She thought that the technology was not up to this level. How could a sealed bearing be so easy to make? Even the propellers used for ships were filled with water. How could it be sealed? Would it be damaged so much? Not to mention, it was 100 meters deep. Wang Wan wanted to use some fish glue and fish skin to seal it. It was to make a big glove, the kind that could even put one's arm into it. When the time came, they could go down to the water and grab one. They could also connect a rope to the outside. In case the glove was scratched, they could pull the rope and the people above would know. They could also use their hands to touch the nail incense. After all, the distance through the glass and the water was too short. If the distance was too far, they could only increase the number of candles and thin the thickness of the glass, which was more dangerous. The two of them did not have any data to calculate. Of course, Zhang Xiaobao did not know how to calculate this kind of thing, and Wang Wan did not have instruments. The two of them could only use their own imagination and then experiment. It was very simple. They first made the object and then put it into the water again and again. They did not put people in it first. They only burned candles to see how long the oxygen inside could last. Another problem was the pressure. They put the metal sphere at different depths. The two of them muttered there. Li Sun was almost done thinking at this time. He listened to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan talk about density, water pressure, air pressure, oxygen, and so on. He was very confused. He often heard the two of them talk about some strange words, which were also in the Book of Nature. However, it seemed that the things involved today were different. You are right. I also understand. We can't let everyone not use the armor incense just because others are in danger. It's not bad to raise the price of the armor incense. But how do we raise the price? Li Sun came in front of the blackboard and asked. At the same time, he looked at the picture and felt that it was a little awkward. It was very different from normal pictures. He did not know that this was a three-dimensional picture. There were dotted lines and realized lines. If you want to raise the price, it's easy. Sister Xinair can tell you. Ask Sister Xinair. Wang Wan was there perfecting the picture. She did not have time to talk about such simple things. Li Sun saw that she was busy and did not disturb her. After looking at it for a while, he really did not understand. He had to look for Xinair. To him, she was not Xinair's sister, but his younger sister. Xinair was still designing the doll. When she heard Li Sun ask, she blinked and said, "We can make a lot of money again. If we do this well, we can make a lot of money." You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.